What is up, everybody? Welcome to Theocracy. I am your host, Theo Snodgrass. Wherever you may be, thank you for making me a part of your day. Yeah, it's been good. It's been good. How's everybody doing? I know why you guys are happy. It's been good, man. It's been good. I'm having a tough week already. Is recovering from Halloween week, by the way. I'm out here in Las Vegas, Nevada. Halloween in Las Vegas is crazy. A lot of butt cheeks. I'll be honest with you. A lot of girls just going out, fucking cheeks clapping in the wind. A lot of fatherlessness. Yeah, fathers are important. Stay in your children's lives, guys. It matters. Jesus Christ. Especially your daughters. Holy shit. Man. I mean, I'm not complaining too much, but bro. That's tough, man. That's been a tough week, bro. I was okay. So I have, before I get into Halloween and my observations, I was at I did stand-up comedy yesterday because I'm getting ready for a show that I have on Wednesday. So I went to a couple of open mics to work out some new material, and I did two gay bars back to back because they were right next to each other. They're like in the same parking lot, and that is a tough venue for me. I'll be honest with you. They are not relating to a lot of my material. I'll be honest with you. That is a tough sell in that place. I mean, in general, I think gay men seem to like me quite a bit, but like I was working out. This was stupid because I went into it like, okay, I'm gonna work out. I'm gonna take some of my B-sides out. You know, some of my jokes that I don't do a lot, and I'm going to take an opportunity to rewrite them a little bit and polish them. And one of the jokes is about male birth control, which is just not going to work in an exclusively gay audience. And it was crazy. So I'm getting through the thesis of the jokes, basically doesn't matter. But I introduced the joke, which is basically I say male birth control is a stupid idea. And before I could even say anything else about the joke, the sassy gay man interrupted me. He was like, well, are you prepared to have a child? That's not what the joke is about. That's not what the joke is about. The joke is essentially about women think men are generally messy and disorganized, and that's generally true. And I use my own living conditions as an example. I mean, fuck, you can see the place. You can see my body pillow. Is this a guy you're going to, if I was on top of you and I was like, don't worry, babe, I'm on the pill, and you see fucking Cardi B body pillow in the corner, are you trusting that? No, I don't fucking believe you. The whole point of birth control is to control your birth. You're not going to outsource that to anyone, right? You're certainly not going to outsource it to a man. Like, you can't say men are messy and incompetent and have to be reminded about everything, and also say a man should be in charge of whether or not you get pregnant. That's stupid. You're just mad at reality. Anyways, this is a joke. I like it because feminists bite on the premise and then end up agreeing with me by the end. I've done it a lot on the road. The gays were not feeling it, right? And so, he interrupted me like, are you prepared to have a child? Now, here's the thing. That's stupid for two reasons. One, like I said, that's not what the joke is about. Two, I'm talking about a product that, this is true, does not exist. There is no male birth control pill. So even if I were willing to take it, it does not exist. Okay. There have been trials, but there is no product on the market that I even could be taking. So so even your objection is retarded. And not only that, I don't give a fuck about your objection. I'm doing a piece of stand-up comedy here. There's a certain flow to it. And when I wrote it, I didn't count on you interrupting me. And also, that's not what the joke is about. The joke is about male birth control is a bad idea because men are generally incompetent, which is something that, are disorganized at least, which is something that women broadly agree with. So it's like a lot of times, especially like drug. I've done this joke a million times on the road, and drug women always bite on it, and they're like, "Yes, there should be male birth control," and I'm like, "Oh, really? I don't have toilet paper at my house." I don't say it like that's. It's later in the joke. That's not the whole. It's not word for word, but you get the fucking idea, right? It's like, okay, men cannot simultaneously be disorganized, messy, incompetent, generally forgetful about taking medication. We have all kinds of data on this, that men do not follow through with taking prescribed medication. We have all kinds of data on this. This is a well-documented thing, and women know about it, which is why women run the calendar, why women always have to remind us to do things. I find out it's my mom's birthday when she calls me. I know one birthday. It's my birthday. That's it. It's the only birthday I know. I don't know any other birthdays. Like, I'm just men being like generally disorganized. This is a broadly observable phenomenon that women are widely aware of and bitch about constantly. And then in the same breath, they will say that men should be in charge of whether or not they get pregnant because they should bear the sole responsibility for birth control. This is a contradiction that I like to point out in the joke. And if you're going to interrupt me before I can even get to that point, shut the fuck up. Don't do that. Don't do that. Anyway, so I did this part of the gay bar, and then I went to, it wasn't a gay bar, but it was like in the same parking lot as a gay bar. So it was kind of like a feminist punk bar. It was very, right. I'll tell you, okay, to set the context for what this bar was like, right before me, an Asian comedian got thrown out and for being racist against Asian people. So that happened. So that's the kind of place it was, like no tolerance for fun topic. And I wasn't there to like make people laugh necessarily. I was there to practice saying certain words in a certain order and polish things, because I have a show on Wednesday that I'm trying to get ready for. So I'm just trying to get reps in before the show, stay fresh. So it doesn't, because if you go multiple days in a row without doing comedy, it feels jittery to get back up there. And it takes you a while to get back into it. You know, so I like to get stage time every day if I can, so that I, stay in practice. But like, yeah, that was not a fucking favorable room for me at all. But it's weird because at the gay bar, I actually won best set at that. I won best set, so I won $50. I wasn't there to collect it, so they gave it to another guy, which is irritating. But I won best set, so I had a good set there. And then I got cocky, and then I got like a high in the parking lot with a bunch of comedians. That's what happens with comedians. It's just we're all just like what? We're all just like try to be insightful about writing, and we're like, yeah, what motivates you creatively? And it's like dick jokes, and it's not. We're all talking like we talk like we're talking about Shakespeare. And really what we're like, what's the funniest way to describe my dick? Like, that's really what it is. So it's very like pretentious for no reason. And we're like smoking. It's really just an excuse to smoke weed together in a parking lot. So it's, by the way, this brings up a point. I got into an argument with some other comedians as well about sex robots. So I was trying to, basically the guy was saying, if there's an AI powered sex robot, if you have sex with it, it's non-consensual, right? Because it's AI powered, right? And I'm like, okay, but what if I like wine and dine the robot and I treat it really sweet? And, I try to get inside her mind, figure out how she feels, try to figure out what her hopes and dreams are. What if I make her feel really special? And then I seduce her, she falls in love with me, and she consents to have sex with me. What then? Because I think that's fine. I think. But yeah, so that's what I thought. And so that was the discussion that was kind of being passed around the parking lot. I started it, actually. And so I was getting what all the comedians thought about sex robots. Most of them were actually a surprising number of them were a lot of them were like, you could just like, it's a sex robot. You could just treat it however you want. I'm like, nah, bro. Some of these sex robots, they look like real ladies. We're going to get to that later in the show, by the way. This ties in. So some sex robots, the sex robots are starting to look and act very realistic now. And it's like, you can't mistreat that. You can't mistreat. It looks like a real lady. If it looks like a real lady, you have to like, I don't know. I think you have to like be sweet to the robot a little bit. I think you have to love on it a little bit. I'm serious. Like, I think you could just like mistreat a sex robot. I don't think it's right to. Here's the thing. It's not about the robot. It's about you. Like, if you get in the habit of mistreating something that looks like a woman, that will bleed into your. It's like if you people who kick dogs also treat people worse. So if you get in the habit of mistreating your sex robot, you're going to mistreat real people. It's just going to happen. Like, it just makes you more callous. So I think it does matter. That's what I was saying. And also, like, I like to know the backstory of what I'm fucking. Yeah, I don't want just like disembodied, like a disembodied vagina just doesn't do much for me. Yeah, I got to know the backstory if I'm going to be interested. You see what I'm saying? You guys get it. Because I'm sensitive. I'm emotional. I'm a lover boy. So. Yes, this was screaming, and this was downstream. Greenheart anti-liberal is right. This is downstream of a conversation I had with Screaming Into the Void. I actually started with the conversation we had on Screaming Into the Void, which is if you're fucking a sex robot and it's being operated by a man in a call center in India, then is it gay? And they were like, nah, because the robot has a pussy. I'm like, all right, fair enough. But then that started this broader discussion about whether or not sex robots can consent. By the way, speaking of that, thank you, Greenheart Anti-Liberal. That reminds me, I got to check in with the rest of the chat. What's up, everybody? Vagabond is here. What's up, buddy? He's first. Greenheart Anti-Liberal, friend of the channel. She's here. I don't think I've ever done a butt cheek out costume before, but belly showing has happened. LOL. This is just a friendly reminder that women cannot hear anything without making it about themselves. Thank you. Joseph is here. What's up, buddy? Ronald is here. What's up, buddy? Oh, Nate is here. I get here, and all I hear you talking about is male birth control. Yeah, bro, we're just getting started, actually. It's going to be a fun. Men being organized is like fighting a unicorn. Yeah, it is. By the way, I was harsh on you earlier, but I do want to remind you, if you do want to do a butt cheek out costume, by the way, feel free. Go ahead. Live your life. I don't want to discourage you. I mean, I do a little bit. Like, part of me does. Like, as a person who wants society not to descend into degeneracy. But you know what? Follow your heart, man. Everybody else is doing it. But that's true. Men are not, broad strokes are not. I don't know. It's like, okay, here's the thing. And this gets into this is something I'm going to talk about later in the show, but like this gets into like the weaponized incompetence discourse, which is just women choosing to make themselves unhappy. That's what it is. So for those of you that don't know, weaponized incompetence is this. It's like if a man does a household chore, but he does it in a way different than you would do it, you can either say, oh, he doesn't think about this the same way I do, and he kind of goofed and it's kind of funny and we can laugh about it. Or you can say he did this on purpose to piss me off. This was a deliberate passive-aggressive shot at me personally that he did on purpose to piss me off. And there's a lot of content online. I have some of it pulled up. We may get to it, we may not, which encourages women to think that if their husbands do something not exactly the way they wanted it done, even if that's the way he usually does it, like then instead of thinking, oh, well, maybe he just had a different idea of what I meant and I should be clearer next time, she should assume that he did it on purpose to harm her in some way. That discourse is so poisonous because you are telling married women to choose to be unhappy because you can't control. Sometimes things are going to get fucked up. That's just how life is, right? But in general, men are not thinking of ways to weaponize passive aggression against their wives. There are men who do this. And if you're married to a guy who does that, light him on fire. I'm serious. Go Dixie Chicks on him. Light him on fire. But most men are not doing that. Most men are not thinking of, oh, how can I, what would really stick it to my wife? If I left the dishes in the sink instead of putting them in the dishwasher, that'd really get her. This bitch. This whore who mothered my children. That's what really get back at her. Oh, you know what I should do? I should put the pan of food directly in the refrigerator instead of loading the food into the Tupperware first. That'll get her. Like that's not what we do. That's not what we do. You know what men do when they don't like you? Whap! They come upside your head. That's our method of doing it. We hit the old factory reset, just like Grandpa used to do. I mean, we don't do that, obviously, but don't do that. I'm not advocating that. What I'm saying is this whole, like, it encourages, this is what I'm saying about people have no theory of mind for the opposite sex. You're encouraging women to think about men as if it's another woman she competes with who's going to come after her in some way. And that's just not how men operate at all. And if you think about men that way, you, as a woman, you are choosing to be unhappy. And I think there's a lot of discourse on the internet that is encouraging people. How you feel has less to do with what happens to you and way more to do with how you choose to think about it, right? So if something happens that's kind of a goof, you can choose to think about it as like, oh, that's kind of a silly thing that happened. Or you can say, oh, this was deliberate. He's trying to destroy me. He's trying to undermine me. And that will make you unhappy because the idea of having a partner who's deliberately trying to undermine you in your home is deeply upsetting. And it's also very, very, very likely not true. And if it is true, light him on fire. See what happens. All right. I give my brother his vitamins and prescriptions with his coffee when I'm not around. And he just, when I'm not around, he just doesn't take them except his prescriptions when he's crippled. Yeah. So that's what I'm saying is like we know that men do not take their medication. We know that a lot of men will forget to eat if they're not reminded. That's very common. Like if I'm locked in and I have 2 streams I'm doing today and I'm going to go do stand up after that. So there's a really good chance that I'm going to forget to eat today. That's just, I've already eaten something, but I'm probably going to forget lunch. I will most likely forget dinner if no one reminds me. Because I just have other shit going on. I'm just thinking about other stuff. Like my brain is elsewhere. That's not what I prioritize. I don't prioritize the micro minutia of operating my own life. By the way, women do prioritize those things, by the way. And it's almost as if men and women are meant to go together in a complementary fashion. Isn't that interesting? Isn't that interesting? The fact that men and women prioritize different things might be a sign that they're meant to go together in a complementary fashion. Isn't that interesting? Fucking retarded. Anyway. Male both control is crank until your penis don't spooge anymore. Ah, man, I have the best fans on the internet. I have the best chat on the internet. Oh, man. No, honestly, here's the thing. Male birth control is being careful where you stick it. I've made that mistake numerous times. It really is being careful where you stick it, truly. There is no substitute for not fucking crazy bitches, truly. No substitute. Yeah. All right. Sex robots. Oh no, where? So I can avoid them, of course. Yeah, dude. Can a machine consent? It's like asking if a microwaved cantaloupe can consent. Yeah, I don't know, man. It was just we were having fun with it. But I'm thinking yeah, it was a lot of fun because I just wanted to see not all comedians can think on their feet. Some of them can. Some of them can't. It depends. You can really get to see the separation between people who think comedically and people who do comedy for attention. Because there are people who are just doing it for attention or just doing it for something to do, and then there's people who get paid and work the road and do gigs who are popping into an open mic to put some work in. But you really get to see the difference in how people think because like doing comedy is not the same thing as like thinking about things in a comedic way. Okay. Let's see. Oh, this one. I knew that would be your reply to my costume comments. That's not at all why I said that, Punk. You know what assumptions do, right? Okay. All right. Let's see. All right. Notice how he was all supportive of my comment about myself and my life when it agrees with him. Just say it. You know what? Nobody fucking asked you. Who invited you? All right. Anyway, so this is the point I wanted to talk about. Well, after I'm 20 minutes into the show, this is the point I actually wanted to get to today. So, so show of hands. You don't need to show your hands. You guys have all, I assume, heard about the so-called male loneliness epidemic, right? We've heard about that. Okay, so if you haven't, this is an idea proposed by feminists that there is an epidemic of incels and lonely men who are not achieving romantic partnership, and that this is because women find them unpalatable, and women are like magical unicorn people with higher standards now. Well, now that women don't need men financially to survive, they are only selecting men who appeal to them. And now that they have that option, they're just like choosing to remain single. And this is because, broadly speaking, this is described as a failure of men to adapt. Now, this is so important, and I want to drive this home because this is fucking critical. Stop using the term male loneliness epidemic. Stop doing that, because this is a feminist construct that describes a reality that does not exist. Okay. This is really important. Okay. There are a lot of lonely men. There are also a lot of lonely women. The data suggests we have a human loneliness epidemic. We have a crisis of connection that is culture wide and affects everyone. Right. But, well, feminists have said, oh, well, women are happy being single and having careers and having cats, and it's men who need women. Right. And it's, yeah, they also like the idea. It's kind of a cope too. They like the idea that men are lonely because they don't like men and they think men deserve to suffer. Now, the reason for this is because they have been fucked and abandoned by numerous men. Those men are not lonely, by the way. Those are not the men who are suffering, right? Those men are doing fine. Those men are continuing to fuck and abandon other feminists, right? They're just making feminists as they go. And we have a video about that coming up later. But the men that are actually, so they're mad at the top 20% of men for abandoning them. And so they celebrate when the bottom 20% of men, completely different subset, is suffering. That makes them happy. And here's the thing. And so they want to talk about it. Actually, I have a video for this. Hold on. Yep. So let me get it ready. You could actually see the delight on this woman's face as she describes this. Hold on. Yep. You can actually see the delight on her face. It's crazy. Check this out.
That time I went on the internet and I said that I thought the male loneliness epidemic was in fact evolution. There's now some scientists who are hypothesizing this. It was the first time I've seen it spoken about on like a really...
Right. So for those of you that are tracking what she's saying the male loneliness epidemic, which, as we previously discussed, we don't have a male loneliness epidemic. We have a crisis of connection that affects everyone. Right. And she's saying that the male loneliness epidemic is a genetic phenomenon or a Darwinian moment. So basically she's saying that the survival of the fittest, and the men who are affected by the male loneliness epidemic are simply not fit to pass on their genetic material. Right. So they deserve to die, basically. And check out how fucking delighted look at watch her facial expressions as she is fucking thrilled that she's come to this conclusion. Hold on, I have to fix my hair. All right, there we go. Go ahead.
Mainstream podcast. Essentially what this doctor was speaking about was when genes become maladapted. Does that trigger a mechanism where the expression of that genome causes behavioral traits that are counterintuitive to procreation? So he's essentially asking is this behavioral expression, aggression, entitlement, self-isolation that we're seeing in this subsection of men?
By the way, aggression, entitlement, and self-isolation. Does that sound like men or does that sound like women? How many women, For real, look, she's shooting this from her bedroom. She's laying in bed as she shoots this. Right? How many women have we heard say, I'm decentering men? I'm done dating. I'm just going to focus on my career. And by the way, just as someone who talks to a lot of people, I can tell you women are way, 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 way orders of magnitude more hostile and aggressive, at least with people they don't know. It's very rare now to meet a man who's just overtly hostile to people he doesn't know. Women will be just like hostile to anybody. They'll fucking pick a fight with a bouncer twice their size. So think about that. Remember, everything is projection. Everything that like feminists and leftists are talking about is projection. Go ahead.
Who have removed themselves so deeply from society. Are we seeing this because their genes are dying out due to maladaptation? And I just think it's really fascinating because it is this subsection of men who removed themselves so thoroughly and express such aggression towards the one sex needed in order for their genes to be passed on, in order to procreate. And I don't think anyone is saying that this is intentional genome self-destruction, but I do think it is environmental selection. We've gone through rapid social evolution that these men are simply not adapting to. So remember that time I went on the internet and I said that I thought the male loneliness epidemic?
All right, she's done. So yeah, she's fucking psyched about this. And by the way, look at the, hold on. I actually want to show this. I forgot. I was actually going to show you the comments too. Give me a second. Pew. Let's scroll through the comments real quick. Bonobos. Look up bonobos. They eradicated the aggressive males and developed a matriarchal society. Bonobos. Not going to lie. This is a very satisfying hypothesis. I'm here for this extinction event. They're really out here studying the male loneliness epidemic, but not endometriosis. It never ends, does it? So she found a way to make this feminist diatribe somehow women are also the victim. Yes, extinction, sparkly emojis. Finally. Yeah, so a lot of people are saying there's not a male loneliness epidemic. There's a male consequences epidemic, or there's like or male loneliness is a skill issue, or whatever. I actually think we have hit a point. I think there's some truth to this hypothesis. I think we've kind of hit a point where some guys are just like not going to be able to adapt to the way that we do things now. And also the other thing too is like the amount of work you have to do is just not worth the results for a lot of people. And I think the part that like people are leaving out in this is that so many women that are like available for dating are just unpalatable. And it's not that here's the I noticed because like I noticed this when I was out for Halloween. It's like I think like nobody's really like approaching people. Nobody's like approaching people at club. Vegas is a big nightlife city. And people are just like not approaching people. And I got the sense, I think the women do want to be approached. The women I talked to were like very receptive. They were just fucking awful. You know, like here's the thing. Like if you talk to it, a lot of times in the first like 20 or 30 minutes of talking to a woman, she will announce herself to be a feminist angrily. I think that might just be the women who are talking to me. This might be just the questions I'm asking that's causing this response. But you can find out immediately in the first like 20, 30 minutes of talking to a woman if she's a feminist. You can find out right away. You can find out how she feels about men pretty quickly, you know, pretty quickly. And it makes them unpalatable. But I think here's the thing, despite what they say, in fact, the louder that they protest that they're fine, the more I think hurt and isolated and lonely they feel. I think people desperately, desperately, desperately want to connect. They want to form meaningful relationships. And there's a ton of single people right now who just are not able to do that. You know, and part of this is because of like a palpable resentment on both sides. And women are basically in a situation where they're like, I am willing to do less than any woman in the history before me, and I am expecting you to do more than you ever have. And there's a lot of influencers who are like reinforcing, like there's a lot of like male feminist influencers I watch who are just like, yes, men do need to do better. We are expected to do more. We have to step up. We need to be more emotionally intelligent. We need to do that more. Look, I'm all for developing good communication skills, but like at some point, answering the question of what men are actually getting out of this is important. And like women's answer to that is usually some variation on I am the table. Right? It's like your reward for, doing everything I want, which is having the right politics, which if we remember, hold on, I have a chart for this. I have a chart. Dude, here's the chart. If we remember, we've all seen this chart, right? This right here is the political divide between young women and young men. Young women have gone way, way, way the fuck left, and young men have become slightly more conservative. Right? So it's like if you have, left-wing beliefs, have all the good boy beliefs, and you're tall, and you're wealthy, and you're put together. Basically, if you have all the prerequisites for being attractive and all the correct beliefs, then your reward is you get me. And women will unapologetically concede that their dream life is they want to be a stay-at-home dog mom. Like they want all of your resources, all of your support, all of your protection, all of your adoration, all of your focused attention, and they want to do nothing in return. And that's supposed to be a deal for you because you get to hang out with them. And a lot of guys are just going, nah. And like a lot of guys are just like not going to be able to. The other thing too is like a lot of guys are just not going to be able to adapt. Like social media and dating apps have made things stupid complicated and very, very difficult for some guys. The fact that like pretty much every dating app has a height filter now that's canceling out 85% of the population, which I get it from women's perspective. Like if you're going to get cheated on, you might as well get cheated on by a tall guy. Like, I get it. Like, if I'm going to get cheated on, I want to get cheated on by a girl with a great rack. I totally get it, dude. Like, I'm not shitting on that. They're using the tools in front of them. But unfortunately, this increasingly narrow focus on fewer and fewer guys is resulting in them, fucking an increasingly elite percentage of men. So they're all fucking the same dudes. I actually have a video about this, too. Hold on. This is actually I actually saw this the other day because they're starting to get it, guys. They're starting to get it. Ready? Hold on. Check this out. Give me a second.
So I got to give points to the gentlemen. They've been saying for a while that 80% of women only date about 20% of men. And I've been thinking about this for a long time.
So this isn't actually a surprise. For those of you that are familiar with the economic principle, the Pareto distribution, that's almost universal across every domain of human pursuit. Increasingly smaller percentages of people are responsible for increasingly large percentages of productivity. This is true for almost every human endeavor. So this is not an unusual thing. It makes a lot of sense if you look at the evolutionary history of our species, why that would be true. And because monogamy is not the natural setting for humans. Monogamy is a social technology that we developed to protect us from the nasty aspects of human nature. Because it turns out when you have a lot of young men who are in a society and they're not getting laid, they start knocking shit over. Different societies have thought of different ways to handle this. Like the Vikings put them in boats and sent them to other parts of Europe. They're like, go to fucking England. God damn. That's what they did with their incels. They put them in boats and sent them to England to fuck shit up and, all that stuff. So there's different ways to deal with it, but this is like a constant in human evolutionary history. So this is not a new phenomenon. Monogamy is a fix to this, but obviously dating apps have undermined that because they've given people the belief that they can do a lot better than they actually can. Anyway, go ahead.
Long time. I was like, wait a minute. Okay. So I'm looking at the percentage of single mothers versus the percentage of single fathers. The data is not quite lining up.
She's doing math.
Then I started to think about the T app. And I said, wait a minute. Women are posting all the same guy on the T app. And they're all running over there and rating their experience with the same guy.
Oh, no. How did that happen?
These women are all dating the same men.
Eureka!
Because how would you explain that one guy has like 30 different women rating him poorly. 30 different women have dated this guy and they have a bad report on him.
Yeah.
I think the guys were right about this one.
Oh, God, it feels good. Straight into my fucking veins. Oh, look at this. Actually, she's got some stats posted on the side. Overall, 21% of women are single mothers, and it's 47% black, 25% what, about 16% of fathers are single. Okay. So what it's saying is of the people who have children outside of wedlock, it varies by ethnic group or whatever, but of the people who have children outside of wedlock, there are way fewer men than women. Why is that? Because a lot of these men have multiple baby mothers. And it's not that the women don't have multiple baby fathers, but like it's like a relatively small number of guys who are having children with multiple women. By the way, if you're the third baby mama and on, it's the woman's fault. The first two are the man's fault. Every baby mama after 2 is the woman's fault because you knew he had 3 baby mamas and you had a baby with him anyway. That's on you. He was already not taking care of his other kids and you had a baby with him. That's on you. That's on you. Like Future has like 11 baby mamas. Like his Mother's Day tweets are fucking unhinged. One time, this happened a few years ago, he did a Mother's Day tweet to all his baby mothers. And then on Mother's Day, after he'd already sent out the tweets, he found out that he had gotten another woman pregnant. He found out that day. And all these women know. And when you ask him about this, it's like, you ever get married? He's like, no. And she's like, okay, well, why don't you marry one of these women you've had children with? He's like, I can't marry one of my baby mamas because then the rest of them are going to get mad. Stop doing this. Stop doing this. Stop letting guys nut inside you. Stop doing that. I'm so serious. That would solve the problem. And the thing is, like, and it's like, why is Future able? Because this is actually one of the comments is perfect here. One of the comments on this video. Hold on, it's right here. It's like, why is that though? Are these men interesting, well put together, charismatic, good earners? Yeah, they're attractive. That's why they're getting so much pussy, right? But those are all. But listen to the things she lists here. This is important. Listen to the things she lists. Interesting, not a reliable indicator that a long-term relationship is going to be successful. Well put together. I'm assuming she means this in a superficial sense. Not a reliable indicator that a long-term relationship is going to be successful. She's not mentioning shared values, right? She's not mentioning, regular church attendance. She's not mentioning, career housing stability, whatever. Like she's mentioning the kinds of things that show up on a dating app. Charismatic. That is maybe the worst indicator. Women, listen to me. Women, I'm talking to the 4% now. I'm talking to the 4% of my audience that's female. Charisma is one of the least reliable indicators of a stable relationship. It's one of the least. You know why? Because if you find a guy charismatic, other women are also going to find him charismatic. That means he has options that he's probably exercising. If you think he's funny and interesting and charming and handsome and he flips his hair, other women want to fuck him too. You were not the first woman to have that idea. Okay? It wasn't just you. That's a horrible, good earners. Okay. So if that's fine. I'm not saying you should date poor people if you don't want to, right? But again, purely looking at financial success is also a horrible indicator of whether or not a long-term relationship is going to work. Whether this pairing is going to result in a stable long-term relationship. That's the problem. Is like we're evaluating relationships based on like stuff that shows up on dating apps or stuff that can be put into a spreadsheet or stuff that can be put into a LinkedIn profile. And most of the stuff that actually results in stable long-term relationships forming between people has fucking nothing to do with any of that. Like, very few of those things have positive. I mean, they're all important in their own way. I mean, you should generally be attracted to the people that you're in a relationship with. But I'm telling you, dude, this is a terrible idea. Like, if a guy fits that description, you are not the first woman who had the idea to fuck him. There's probably another woman trying to fuck him right now. I'm really telling on myself here. This is not, I probably shouldn't be saying this in front of an audience. I'm really telling on myself here. All right. Let's check in with the chat real quick before we move on. Because I got a bunch of chats. Let's see. Feminists are a sign of the devil. Change my mind. Based. Her gun probably has more miles on it than my Toyota Camry. Very true. Very true. By the way, shout out to my good buddy Shannon Battle. He probably doesn't watch the show. He's a comedian out here in Vegas. He had a great metaphor last night explaining the difference between a hoe and a whore and comparing it to like a Toyota Camry with a lot of miles versus, you know, a rental Ferrari. Was honestly, bro, he was fucking cooking. I wish you guys had heard it. It's not gonna sound the same coming from me because I'm not black, but from him it was fucking hysterical. We got to get him on the show, man. Shout out Shannon Battle. I actually don't think a lot of this has to do with women. I think a lot of men have given or never even tried aggressively pursuing women for a multitude of reasons. That's true, but that's true, but there's reasons for that. So I think a lot of people, even older millennials and older people older than that, have a hard time because they think dating now is like dating when they were doing it. And the issue here is that at the time in the 90s, early 2000s, and even the 2010s, the average woman was generally interested in dating the average man. Women were interested in dating the men around them. And that's no longer true. Average women are no longer interested in dating average men for the most part. So that's the big difference. So a lot of men are facing because of the way Gen Z was raised, they are less tolerant of rejection than previous generations, and they are facing harsher, more aggressive, more dismissive rejections than previous generations. So it's a both and. So there's some cultural factors here at play. It is true that men are, well, because like it used to be before dating apps, before the internet, before you could slide into DMs, if you wanted to get pussy, you had to just like talk to women until one of them fucked you. And that meant failure over and over and over and over and over again. I know, I learned to do this as an autistic. You know how many people I had to make uncomfortable before one of them wanted to fuck me? A lot. That's part of this process. You're just like, hey, you interested? No. Okay. And you just deal with it, right? You just deal with it. You just deal with it. And you had to necessarily learn the social norms. And it's super awkward at high school. It's slightly less awkward in college. And if you keep working at it, eventually by the time you're an adult, you figure it out. But it takes time. You know, it just takes time and beating your face against a wall a lot. And that is something that I think, you know, Gen Z, because of how they were raised in a way to deliberately remove obstacles and shield them from pain, they're a lot less tolerant of rejection than previous generations, which is tough. That's tough. And also because of the way women have been socialized. Remember, men have been socialized. The young men have been socialized since the time they were at least in middle school and probably before. Men are garbage. Sit down, shut the fuck up, let women lead. Men are the problem, especially white men. Everything the way you natively approach the world is objectively wrong. You should shut the fuck up and be more like the girls. And if you can't be more like the girls, then shut the fuck up. And ultimately, you know, basically the future is female and there's no place for you. And so they're like, oh, fuck. And the women were told the opposite. You're amazing. You're wonderful. You're a superstar. And the only thing wrong in your life is that the men around you aren't supporting you enough. There's nothing wrong with you. It's all the men. It's all the patriarchy. Every problem you have is a direct result of the patriarchy, right? So then you have a bunch of women who think they're amazing. They're perfect. They're 10 out of 10. They're amazing. They deserve the world. And also they can get you get more social clout. I have an article about this. I don't know if you guys saw the Vogue article about it's embarrassing now to have a boyfriend. That's kind of where the discourse is at. I think a lot of women get more social clout from performatively rejecting men than they do from actually like dating them, which is kind of crazy. And it's like, there's also this whole ecosystem of influencers who their whole brand is talking about how bad their dating life is, and how insufficient the men they go on dates with are. They build their whole, fucking brand around that. So like, I think a lot of men look at that. And that's also the other thing about Gen Z is they're dating in adulthood in the post Me Too era. So basically women set this paradigm where it's like, don't approach us in public, don't approach us in private, don't approach us at nightclubs, don't approach us at work, don't approach us when we're out, don't DM us, don't do anything, because any way you approach us is offensive. Fuck you. And the only men who listened to that were men with a conscience. So what they did was they took the men who care about what women think, and all those men stopped approaching women. And then all the men who don't give a fuck what women think just kept right on doing it. That's why all you bitches' inboxes is full of like Indian guys trying to get you to show bobs and vagine. These are the guys who don't know how to act. Shout out to India. Love you guys. But yeah, so like this thing, I say to guys is, I think the response from a lot of guys, especially guys who are like millennial and older to Gen Z, is just get the fuck out there and get after it, because we know that's the only way to do it. I'm not saying that's wrong. I do think Gen Z guys should get up out there and get after it, but at least you should have the context of why they're not doing that. They're also facing a ton of hostility, that we did. I mean, the millennial generation has its fair share of unpalatable, shrill, overweight feminists, especially now that we're all in our 30s. There's plenty of shrill, unpalatable, overweight feminists who are single. I talk to them somewhat frequently, but Gen Z, it's a different level. Like, it's a different level. And, also they're the post-dating app generation. So it's a lot of like attachment-free sex. And when a lot of people in a generation are having attachment-free sex, like girls in their 20s, a lot of times have more bodies than girls in their 30s, which is crazy. Because a lot of these millennial bitches have bodies. So yeah, dude, but that's her. Men are lonely, and that's a good thing. Women most affected, though. Yeah, basically. That's what the thing I struggle with, is that it's never framed in terms of, oh, men have a problem. Are there structural forces that are contributing to this? Are there constructive solutions that we could talk about that would lead to something getting better? That's never the dialogue. Men are lonely and they deserve it. And if they want to not be lonely, they should be better people. Meanwhile, women are also lonely. This attitude of being isolated and saying, fuck the opposite sex, like that is resulting in everyone being lonely and everyone having a bad time. And still, it's framed as men need to just be better people. And nobody's interested in talking about constructive solutions. And it's coming from a place of like zero empathy. Like the girl at the beginning, like Strider, actually, this is actually a good comment tying into this for Strider. Loneliness just means sewer slide, and these women celebrate that. Yes, they know. Here's the thing. They know that men being lonely means men taking their own lives. And it's not just that they're indifferent. They think it's good. They think it's good. That's so important. Like, it's not just that they're indifferent to men taking their own lives. It's that they think it's good. They think that these undesirable men should just end their own lives and get on with it to decrease the surplus population, a la Ebenezer Scrooge. Right. That's what they really did. That's why that girl was like, as she was describing, that the male loneliness epidemic was so-called male loneliness epidemic, which is not a real thing, as we discussed at the top of the show. The so-called male loneliness epidemic is an evolutionary phenomenon where non-adaptive genes are being washed out of the gene pool. That's why she's smiling the whole time she's talking about it, because the thought of men suffering and dying brings her genuine pleasure, and she was having a hard time hiding it. Now, why is that? That's important too. Why is that? How did we get to a point where there was such low empathy and where there was so much hate? Where did we get to that point? Right. And that's because I think of like isolation, targeted social media algorithms, people not forming social connections. So, and the other thing is like urban centers. Urban centers are this weird phenomenon where you're surrounded by people all the time and all of them are strangers and there's zero sense of community with your neighbors. Humans are not meant to live that way. Like that's a very detrimental and difficult way to live mentally. That's very hard to exist that way. That's a big reason people are lonely right now. I know I live in a huge urban center. I see tons of people every single day. The people I see have all different backgrounds. And a lot of urban centers, people come from all over, so everybody's from somewhere different. A lot of people have very different, their diversity. So people have different ethnic backgrounds. They're from different regions. They have nothing in common other than the fact that they live geographically close together. And there's basically zero sense of community or togetherness. There's zero sense of history. People now live very far away from their extended families. We just don't know people. So people are isolated in their own little world. And they go to the social media algorithms and they're like, and the social media algorithm is like, okay, well, I'm just going to confirm everything that you already think. I'm going to tell you nothing is your fault and everything is the fault of someone who is different from you. There you go. And everybody's fucking consuming that all the time. And they have no fucking social connection. So I have no way to like vent that frustration except for certain like online forums. This is the other thing too. I actually want to bring this up because I thought of this the other day. We talk a lot about how like incel terms have mainstream terms that started on incel forums have mainstreamed, like concepts like looks maxing has made it in the mainstream. The term incel itself was an online term that made it into the mainstream. And these things that came out of incel forums. We don't talk enough about the terms that came out of like fringe, like femcel type forums, like our female dating strategy, like fringe forums where it's just a bunch of angry women, like places where men are called moids. Places where the women openly just say horrible things about men because they're deeply lonely, right? And one of them is the term pick me. So pick me originated in those shadowy corners of the internet where femcels would hang out, right? And now that's like a completely mainstream term. The reason I'm thinking about the term pick me is because I had a long discussion with a female comedian yesterday where she was telling me pick me's are the worst thing in the world. And I'm like, really? I fucking love pick me's. I select for pick me's. And she was just telling me how bad they were. And I was telling her how great they were. And she was just, this was downstream of the sex robot discussion. Anyway, she's not happy. She's like a major feminist. So she was like not happy with me for liking pick-me's. And I'm like, why would I not like women who like men? And to me, that's what a pick-me means. A pick-me is just a woman who likes men. She's like, no, it's a woman who fakes her personality and she betrays other women. And it's like, I was just like, this sounds personal. Who hurt you? She's like, I'm just mad at my coworker. Pick-me's never get what they want. This sounds like a girl who used to be a pick-me and turned into a hoe. Which you want to get them on the other side of that. You want the hoes who retire into pick-me's. That's the ideal woman. If you can find yourself a hoe who became a pick-me, that's perfect. Anyway, to me, that's just a woman who actually likes men. But, for a feminist woman, she can't imagine why a woman would betray the sisterhood to, actually be nice to men. Why would you do that? That's retarded. So they're like, oh, so you're a pick-me. But yeah, dude. Anyway, so I was thinking about that. That term also came out of like basically every toxic internet forum from 10 years ago has like penetrated the mainstream of politics. Like all this like bullshit gender stuff came from Tumblr. All the like white nationalism and anti-Semitism came from fucking 4chan. Like every just like toxic, corrosive thing about our politics right now used to be a fringe internet thing that nobody had to worry about. Same with the red pill. The red pill is very mainstream now, especially among Gen Z. And it used to be like a very, 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 very niche thing. Like in recent history, like less than 10 years ago, it was a super niche thing. And now fucking like everybody is familiar with red pill stuff. So it's pretty fucking common. And like feminism, even 10 years ago, now I was in Southern California, so most women were a little bit feminist, but now, you know, women are like feminist in a way that only the most obnoxious women were 10 years ago. That has moved to the media, and that's like the average woman now is as feminist as the most obnoxious feminist in your sociology class 10 years ago. So the needle has definitely moved, and it's moved way further on that, and it feels like it's all of them. I know it's not. I know it's shout out 4%. Shout out to the 4%. We love you guys. But I love the 4%. But beyond that, dude, it's fucking annoying. It feels like it's all of them. It's probably just the loud ones, but just subjectively walking through the world, it feels like it's all of them. So, and none of the, by the way, having this super cantankerous confrontational attitude where basically no male behavior is basically completely unacceptable to you unless, here's the thing, if they acted the way you say that they want them to act, the feminists say that they want them to act, the men who acted that way would, by the way, if they do act that way, they get called performative males. That's the new thing that's going around, right? So even if you do everything right, then you get tagged for trying too hard. So there's actually no way to win. It's just an excuse to hate men and avoid forming relationships because they fear getting hurt. That's really what it is. And like, it's just like with the men, like, you know, I've said before that the red pill is girl boss feminism for men. So it's like, yes, king, you're a strong, independent man who don't need a woman. You know, just get your bag, king, stack that cash. It has the same net effect as girl boss feminism, which is you end up, you know, dying alone with a big pile of money that you can't leave to anyone. So, because you have no descendants. So, yeah, and you can't build a society off of. That's the other thing too, is like women are like celebrating because yes, men are dying off. No one's having children. Yes, slay. We're all girl bosses. But if you don't have children, you don't have a fucking society. Like everything falls apart because you run out of people. You can't maintain it. So like, who's going to get you your fucking hormonal birth control when the supply chain breaks down because there's no fucking people to maintain the infrastructure? You dumb slut. Anyway, let's check in with the chat. I've been just yammering. Men aren't going to approach women in a society that calls them predators for looking at them wrong from a mile or more away, especially when the men were looking at the car behind them or something. Yeah, that's true. It's the amount of hostility toward, like, I get, yeah, they've completely demonized like normal. It's normal for men to want to date women, and it's normal for them to try. That's normal, actually, and good. But what we've done is we've said, and it's normal for it to be awkward when you first start doing it. It's normal for it to go badly, especially when you're young. But we've decided that a creep is the worst thing you could be. And if an interaction with a woman goes badly, you're risking being called a creep, even if you meant well. You just, shoot, I'm awkward because I'm stupid. I don't know what to say. Oh, well, it happens. You know, that's the part. I say this all the time. Learning to talk to women as a man who's interested in women is like learning to play the violin. It's really hard, and it's going to go badly the first 100 or so times you try. But eventually you get better at it. Eventually, if you do it enough, you get better at it. You know, that's like a necessary phase. We used to just know that was like a necessary phase of life, but we just decided to just completely demonize normal, healthy, opposite sex interest. And like the other thing too is like shaming women for being interested in men, like making this widespread belief in our culture that every woman is too good for every man. I don't know if you saw that meme going around a while ago that an outstanding man is just equal to an average woman. Man who pays his own bills and washes his own ass and makes his bed and like holds a job and cooks his own food. That's just what an average woman does. And that's what a spectacular man does. It's like, no, that's just like regular adulthood, and a lot of people are doing it, you know. And I don't know if you've hung out with a lot of these women. I don't know. I've hung out with women. They are not as put together as the women online purport them to be. A lot of them are disasters. You know, a lot of them are, you know, behind the scenes. Just, bro, if you want to take a black pill, hang out in a CVS parking lot the morning after Halloween and watch all the bitches in sweatpants flooding in there to buy their Plan B pills. Yeah, that's a fucking black pill. That's a fucking black pill. These bitches belong to the streets. But like, here's the thing: the guys that they're fucking are, I guarantee you, they're not fucking the male feminists, right? They're not fucking the guys who are, you know, reading the feminine mystique on the bus. They're fucking the hottest guy they could get a hold of. This is what it is. Game's the game, you know. So it's like, you know, and the thing is, they may never learn that that's a stupid idea. Because, like, look, we already talked about this. Look what they're selecting for. They're all selecting the same guys, and the stuff they're selecting for is obviously not going to contribute to stable relationships. So this ties back to what I was saying earlier, is that, like, the average woman is not really that interested in the average man because she can, like, get ran through by, you know, guys that are way better looking. So she's just going to do that, and because she thinks that's her level. This is something I've learned. It doesn't matter how old or how intelligent the woman is. If you fuck her, she thinks she's special. Like, unless she's like the whore, like their whores are broken, right? Like, they know the deal. They know it's just like a in and out kind of deal. They understand that it's a disposable, transactional kind of deal. Like, they're just like dead inside. But for most women who still have the ability to pair bond, if you fuck them, they will think that they are special. And a lot of men do not view you that way. A lot of women think, oh my God, I almost married that guy. And he thinks of her like the gas station bathroom on the way home from work. You know, like, it's nice to know it's available if I need it, but like, I'm not going to introduce my mother to that gas station bathroom. It's like, I do dirty things in there. It's disgusting. You know, that's not going to be my only bathroom. That's fucking crazy. I just need it because he's not fucking you to bond with you and get close to you. He's fucking you because he needs to get it out of his system. And then the second he nuts, he wants you gone. And if you're comfortable with that kind of relationship, that's fine. But you should not delude yourself into believing that that's going to somehow lead to him, you know, bonding with you later. And it sucks because like that does happen sometimes. Like, sometimes you start fucking a guy and he does form a relationship with you, but that's like not a reliable it's not a reliable way. And the fact that like so many like most like if, like every like the hottest guy you know has fucked a 2. Just know that. Like, when they're down bad and they just need to get one out, the hottest guy you know has fucked a 2. And that 2 thought she was special. So like I think it's weird because women claim to be so self-aware about how disgusting men are, and yet they truly have no idea. They truly have no idea. Like, and this is why you shouldn't fuck people you're not interested in staying with for a long time, by the way. It's unethical to do. I'm not saying men should be doing this. I'm describing this is an is, not an ought. I'm not saying how things should be. I'm describing how things are in reality. And one of the most unfortunate things about the way our culture talks about like dating and relationships is we just like do not accurately describe reality at all. And this is true for both men and women. We don't accurately describe reality in any kind of meaningful sense. Like, both men and women are looking at like through a distorted, you know, funhouse mirror of reality. Really, it's fucking awful. We're just like not giving people good information. Let's see what else we got. Dating apps have massively changed ideas around dating and courtship, and the way social landscape has changed as quickly over the past 10 years has really weakened intersex relations. Yes, absolutely. And this is why I tell guys to just abandon dating apps completely. Like, here's the thing: even if you can do well on dating apps, you still shouldn't use them, because they're contributing to the destruction of society, for one. And for two, every girl you meet on a dating app is on the dating apps. That means when she's done fucking you, she goes right back to swiping. You know, and nobody cool is on a dating app. That's the other thing. All the cool people you're trying to meet on a dating app, you know what they're doing? They're not on their phone doing this. They're out doing cool shit in the real world. All the cool people you want to meet. Or they stay at their house. That's another thing I'm finding out increasingly, is that, like, one of the reasons I think all women are garbage is because of, like, where I've been looking. It's like, if you're looking in the club, you're looking in the streets, or you're looking on dating apps, you're finding women who are in the streets. Like, the women who are quality have given up. They're hiding in their rooms, you know, reading books. That's where they at. They are not built for the streets. A lot of these girls are too tender-hearted for the streets. They're just not built for it. You know, and a lot of these girls who are in the streets don't want to be. They just don't have another option. They don't see another choice. So they're doing it because they feel like they have to. It's like we have these just absolutely fucktarded social conventions in this society where we're like, you know what's a cool thing to do? Go to the club and drink alcohol and listen to music that's way too loud and try to grind your genitals against a woman's butthole, even though you're both wearing pants, which kind of defeats the purpose. That's a fun thing to do. Dear reader, it is not a fun thing to do. That sucks. And it has always sucked. And in fact, no one likes it. What if I told you everyone is pretending to like the club? No one likes it. Even the people who are like, woohoo, let's go to the club. You don't like going to the club. You like getting attention and being drunk and dressing like a slut. That's what you like. You like taking pictures of yourself for Instagram. There's nothing that makes a woman less attractive than watching her and her friends pose for a picture on Instagram where they're just like, and they're like sticking their asses out and shit. I hate that shit. I hate watching grown men, especially women 30 plus, posing for Instagram photos. And because they'll do the Instagram photo like, I'm having so much fun. And then they go on their phone and immediately start editing the photo. Completely check out of the event that they're actually at. Not try to have fun actually at all. Just everything is about creating the appearance of fun for the, you know, for the simulation of reality that is social media. It's like, it's very important. It's not important that I actually have fun at the event I'm at, but it's very important that my social circle observe me having fun. That's critical. And because, and by the way, actually engaging in the reality that you are currently existing in the present moment, that is how you would make social connections. And that's how you'd feel less alone. Engaging more and more and more in social media, which is, you know, addictive and giving you this like completely destroying the dopamine production in your brain, completely putting you in this terrible feedback loop of getting less and less and needing to do more and more to get less and less reinforcement. That's what's keeping you lonely, and that's what's keeping you stuck. Actually engaging in the present, putting the fucking phone away and actually engaging in the present and actually talking to the people that are there with you, then you might actually have some meaningful relationships if you did that. So by the way, because I hang out with normies. I know a lot of you guys are like me. You spend a lot of time online, or like I necessarily have to spend a lot of time in nightlife because of just doing comedy, right? So I'm out a lot at places I would rather not be, you know. And in nightlife, fucking everybody's single. Like, people are always in like relationship, whatever. Some people are married, but like most people are chronically single. So it's like, but there are such a thing as like normies who actually invest in their like family relationships. This is especially true in like rural communities. It's way more common. People have families that they invest in. People have friendships that they invest in. People, you know, do things and hang out outside of just like go to work, go home and jerk off to porn and watch Netflix. People do other things. The people who are doing other things than that are, you know, happier and better off. People who are investing in their families are happier and better off. People who have social circles are happier and better off. That's just incredibly, incredibly difficult to build, especially if you live in an urban center, especially if you're like a rational thinking person and you live in a woke city. One of the reasons I got, it's, hard for me to, bond with people out here is like, I'm like super not woke, and it's like, it's not as bad as like in the Pacific Northwest being not woke, but it is still like, it is a point of friction. And there's definitely, moments where it's like, oh, I'm very like out of step with what people in this social circle think, but that's like the safest opinion. It's safe to express woke opinions out loud if you're in a major urban center. Part of that is because conservatives think it's rude to talk about politics, but part of that is because it's just like, that is what people who farm their opinions by consensus generally think. So you're like, look at me. I too farm my opinions by consensus. I too lack the ability to think independently. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Let's see what else. Elon does too, but yeah, Elon's got a lot of baby mamas too. Is Theo warning us of the 4%? Stay away from it. Pretty sure it flipped Sarah earlier. Mind your business. 4chan sculpted the internet into what it is today. That's definitely true. The Alpha Mega. What about the recent trend of boomers not giving their kids the wealth they accumulated and expecting them to build wealth themselves until they die off? Yeah, in my experience, boomers are completely delusional about the economic reality of the world today. They just have no fucking idea what's going on. Like, I talk to my dad about stuff, and he usually, like, now I'm at the point where my dad's a boomer. And so I'm kind of at the point now where he's like, dude, you were right about this stuff. He acknowledges that I'm right about the trends I'm spotting, particularly the trends with young men being just like wildly discontented, largely because of the school system and also because of the economic realities where, yeah, it's just you're just kind of like pissing up a rope. You have a lot of challenges in front of you, and all of the rewards that you would have traditionally gotten for doing that level of work are gone. So you don't get a house, you don't get a wife, you don't get children, you don't get a salary that allows you to reasonably pay for things. You don't get a lot of leisure time. You don't get a lot of leisure activities. You're never going to go on vacation. And you're even trying to date is an act of is considered like a predatory antisocial act. Like any like male typical behavior is considered like an antisocial act. So yeah, and then boomers are completely out of touch with that. And they don't understand because it was just so much easier for them. They don't understand that it's different now. They don't get it. They haven't made that connection. And one of the things, broadly speaking, this is not universally true, but broadly speaking, the boomers are a very selfish generation. So they never developed the ability to put themselves in other people's shoes. A lot of them, not all of them, but a lot of them never cultivated the ability to think about things from other people's perspective. So, like, I'll give you an example. So my dad, opposed Obama for a lot of policy related reasons that had to do with the energy sector, because that's the field that he works in and cares a lot about. So he opposed him. A lot of it had to do with energy policy. And he had all these really particular policy reasons. And he does not understand why anyone would vote for Obama, would have voted for Obama because of all these detrimental impact on energy policy. And I'm trying to tell him, it's like, most people don't think about that. Most people saw, hey, a cool black guy is running for president. I'm going to vote for the cool black guy. And that was as much as they thought about it. And we let women vote here. So a lot of people just voted for him because he was handsome, and that was it. Like, that's probably, I don't know what percentage of Obama voters were just like either cool black guy or he's the hot one voters. But probably at least 25% of people who voted for Obama were those two reasons. And he has a hard time. For me, that's like obvious. But for him, he has a hard time imagining someone being that stupid, which I think is to his credit a little bit. But yeah, a lot of boomers, they have a hard time stepping outside of their own perspective and like imagining Imagining that. And so because it was so much easier economically for them, and it's like, not that they didn't, hustle. Like, to use my dad as an example again, he has plenty of adversity in his background. It's not like he didn't hustle. It's just the reward for his hustle was very, very different than the reward for my hustle. Yeah, and the reward for I think the return on hustle for Gen Z is even worse. They have to work probably 10 times as hard for not even half of the reward. Like, and it's not just, and the other thing too is that, like, if you were a broke guy, but you were ambitious and you were doing your best, an average, woman, decent looking woman who was like a more or less a looks match for you might like what you were doing enough to date you for a while and might marry you on potential. And you might take that and like use that as a springboard to take off. I think one of the things is we have this cultural idea that you have to be established in order to be in a relationship. And that has just historically not been the norm. Like, that's the thing, is like, one of the things is like, married men are just so much more successful than single men. Like, would you think it'd be the opposite because married men have all these other expenses, but actually no, there seems to be something about having a spouse that inspires men to do more and better things. And I'm not sure what exactly that is. I can't, relate to that, but like, because I don't have that experience, but that seems to be, the data seems to bear that out. And you might say, oh, well, maybe successful men just have an easier time getting married. So it could be a chicken or the egg thing. And yeah, I think there's some merit to that. But no, I mean, if you listen to like a lot of really successful people, a lot of them, give credit to their partners. And that's completely undermined if you say, oh, you got to be super established first and then get married. Plus, also, if you have to establish your career, finish all your education goals, finish all your career goals, establish yourself. Okay, now you're 35. Time to get married. Well, shit, man. A lot of that time that you could have spent popping out kids is gone now. So I think the cultural norms have significantly contributed to a drop off in the. All of this is like upstream of a drop off in the birth rate, which is, getting worse and worse. Boomers, I don't think have any concept of this. I don't think boomers have any concept of what's going on. It's because they're just so disconnected from it and they're isolated from it. As far as they're concerned, the economy's still fine because they're doing fine financially. I don't think they have any concept of it. I think it's always been hard for older generations to relate to younger generations, but it's particularly hard now because society changes so fast. You got to understand the world that the boomers grew up in the mid to late 20th century is completely different than the world that exists now. Like, the government is completely changed. People's relationship with the government is completely changed. Social media was a huge game changer. The internet in general was a huge game changer. And the fact that like just people can't afford stuff. We live in a cyberpunk dystopia, which would have been hard to even imagine, in the boomer generation. So it's like, yeah, they, I don't know. I mean, my parents are relatively supportive of me in general. Like, I have a good relationship with my parents now. It was not always that way, but I have a good relationship with my parents now, and they generally are like a fan of what I'm doing. They watch the show, so it's like I can't shit on them too much. But yeah, I think broad strokes, boomers are wildly out of touch with what's going on. Good comment, Alpha Omega. Thank you. Welcome to the channel. I don't know if you've been in the chat before, but thank you for being here. but 10 things I hate about you told men that they should read The Feminine Mystique and they'd be Heath Ledger, RIP. Yeah, that's the point. We're getting all these confusing cultural messaging. This feels like it's turning nihilistic. No, I am turning it around. Give me a second. Give me a second to land the plane. Dating apps ain't even really that credible anymore. It's all bots and OnlyFans on there now. Yeah, I think. Yeah, like I said, don't use dating app. You have to. I recently, on a recent show, I said that cold approach was dead. I have revised my conclusion on that. I've decided that like cold approach is like a necessary evil. Like, you have to do it. But here's the thing. So my criticism of cold approach has always been this. this is after I've done a lot of cold approach, and I've been relatively successful. Like my percentages and cold approach like match up with, with guys who are pretty accomplished at it. Like I got pretty good at it. I did it a lot. It's a low percentage strategy for something that already has a low percentage of success. So it's a low percentage strategy tacked on to a low percentage strategy. So it becomes an exponentially low percentage strategy. And it's kind of like looking for gold in a porta potty. All right, it's not good. But this is why I say to do it. Not so you can like crush a bunch of like, pussy you met at the club. But so that when you do meet a woman of quality, you can speak to her confidently in a way that she enjoys. That's why you should do it. You should be so numb to the fear of rejection and approach that when you do meet a woman of quality, you can just speak to her and you don't shit your pants. So basically, don't do cold approach with the goal of like crushing pussy. Don't even do cold approach, expecting to meet your wife. Do cold approach so that you are numb to the feeling of rejection and you are numb to approach anxiety so that when you do meet a woman of quality, you can converse with her easily. That's what I say. Like, it's like, if you're going to the club thinking, you're going to meet your wife, don't fucking do that, but do it to basically deaden your sensitivity. Yeah, you should just get a scab over the part of you that fears rejection or has approach anxiety. You should just like kill that part of yourself because it's not useful where you're going. The reality is, in today's world, you're going to have to face a lot of rejection if you want to have a relationship with a woman. They are not going to be nice about it, or especially if you're a young guy, they're going to be very rude to you. It will hurt. It will suck. And you just have to get used to it. Here's the thing. This helps, I think. It's not about you. It's the culture that we live in. It's her bad experience. It's all the men who mistreated her before you. She's not mad at you. She's mad at her dad. She's mad that her dad left, but her dad's not here to yell at. You're here to yell at. So she's yelling at you. But it's just knowing that it's not about you can be helpful, I think. It's not about you. So just, what I do when I get yelled at by women kind of a lot. And so when a woman starts yelling at me, I'm like, all right, you seem great. Take care. God bless. And then I walk away. I get yelled at by women kind of a lot. So that's how I handle it. Not as much anymore, I've noticed. Not as much anymore. Not since I moved to Vegas. It's like not since I moved out of the Northwest, I haven't been yelled at by a feminist in a while. I'm worried I'm starting to lose my edge. Am I just like not a cool, edgy comedian anymore? What's going on? Anyway. I've never been to a club ever. Proud of it. That's probably the right way to go. So you can talk to people anywhere. Like honestly, do you want to why would you go to a place where the music is so loud your ears bleed? Everybody's just like walking around. You got to pay $20 for a fucking cocktail. Why would you even go there? Would you go there? Like for fun, like if there were no hot chicks there, would you go there? And if the answer is no, then don't fucking go there. The place sucks. That place sucks. It's a dumb thing that sucks and everyone hates it. People just go because culturally they're told that that's where they're supposed to go. You can talk to people anywhere. You can talk to people at 7-Eleven. You can talk to people at Starbucks. You can talk to people at Target. Doesn't fucking matter. You can just talk to people anywhere. I think the biggest thing I would say is if you're going to approach people that you don't know if you're going to talk to people with genuine curiosity, not intention. So don't go in there trying to get a result. Approach them with genuine curiosity. That's, I think, the best way to approach people in my experience. Yeah. Yeah, let's see. Yeah. Clubs used to be fun in my 20s when I was drunk, dancing, but I would prefer a low-key bar club nowadays. Yeah, no, clubs were never fun for me. I just went there because that's where the women were. Like, it's just like a stupid fucking waste of time. Stupid fucking waste of time. Terrible. Yes, I don't want to meet anyone out here in the Denver metro area. I'd rather stay inside my house. Yes, exactly. This is what I'm saying. Like, women that are worth meeting are not in the streets. They're hiding because especially if you're in a very woke city and you're like, I feel like I can't get out and meet anyone because they're all, they all have brain worms. It's like, yes, but there are people in your area who are thinking the same thing, who are also hiding in their house, which is tricky. So that's what I say. You just gotta be persistent and just like meet like a shit ton of people. And that is, for most guys, that process just does not feel worth it. Because the amount of rejection you're going to have to, and frustration that you're going to have to tolerate on that road is, well, the expression that comes to mind is the juice is not worth the squeeze. That's what people say. And my cousin said it's going to be a glorious day when all these boomers kick the bucket at the same time. That's hilarious. That's true. There's going to be a tremendous wealth transfer that happens in this society, which is crazy. When that happens, it's let's see, hold on. Already showed that. But the other thing too is, like, I want to show you guys that. Hold on, I'm going to share this tab instead. So this is a Vogue article that's kind of going around. Is having a boyfriend embarrassing now? And this is just, I want you to remember that when you're talking to a woman, when the interaction is unpleasant, and when you're like, God, that was awful, this is what her algorithm is feeding her. It's this stuff. There's nothing I hate more than following someone for fun, only for their content to become my boyfriendified suddenly. This is probably because for so long it felt like living in one of those blah, 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 blah. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because nobody reads the article. They're only reading this. Most people are only reading the headline. So I'm not even going to get into the article. Here's the point. Is having a boyfriend embarrassing now? This woman says yes. She thinks that having a boyfriend is a stupid waste of time and that women should all be single girl bosses who just like yes queen each other. That's what she thinks. Yeah, hold on. And then this is a good one. So this one I saw the other day. This is called Yes, We Can Exist with Differing Opinions. It's really easy to date a right-wing man, actually. Okay, now I know what you're thinking. Oh, this is good. Check this out. Ready? Yes, we can exist with differing opinions. If I shrink myself, we can make it work if I respect you less, if I don't think about the man you could be. We can exist with differing opinions as long as I never point out your hypocrisies. If you can use slurs, but I can't make jokes about your heroes. Sure, we can love one another, but it will be stunted love. It will be a love I forge out of fear and insecurity. It will be a love I forge out of the need to survive. I might lose weight and wear clothes you like and ignore you when you check out liberal women with piercings, women who dress sexy. This is the biggest fucking cope that I've seen from sluts, is that this idea that men who marry women that they like and respect secretly desire liberal women. And they draw this conclusion because conservative men often pretend to be liberal to fuck liberal women on dating apps. But this is not because of this is a misunderstanding of male sexuality. Men know that liberal women are sluttier and easier to have sex with more quickly. So, like, when I see tattoos, piercings, dyed hair, I think slut, respectfully, to certain audience members. I see that as like, okay, this one's not going to give me a lot of resistance. Not that I don't do that anymore. Again, I'm not in the streets anymore like that. So, but like when I was in the streets, like the reason I was drawn to those women is because they were just telegraphing easy, right? It's not because, but that's not the same. Like that's just a misunderstanding of like male sexuality. That's not, So this woman is like misunderstood this, and she's also created this whole narrative where she's like a martyr and she's like being married to conservative, which is crazy because like you could just marry people who share your values, right? Like, is that so crazy? And I think it's hard because now men and women are kind of in this Mexican standoff where men have just gotten so much more conservative and women have gotten so much more liberal. And women are like, yeah, all you have to do is embrace politics, embrace political beliefs that, and you have to completely debase yourself. You have to consent to, you're not allowed to have an opinion because you're a man. You have to accept that everything in the world is your fault because you're a man, that you have privilege. So your opinion is less important and my opinion is more important. And we have to center women. And I'm going to be decentering my husband. You know how many fucking videos I have seen that talk about how important it is to decenter your husband in your marriage? Is the key to a happy marriage for a woman is to not give a shit about the man she's married to. If you care about the man you're married to, you're going to have a rough time. If you don't give a shit and just do whatever you want, focus on yourself, then you're going to be much happier. That's what you should do. Literally, that's the advice women are getting on the internet now. This is not even controversial. Actually, I have a great video for this. I'm going to show you this. So this is, some of you will remember, do you guys remember that all-female Ghostbusters remake? I promise this relates. Okay, so you guys remember Leslie Jones? Okay, well, she recently blessed us with this. And this is, I think...
Understand why you wouldn't want a woman like me. I am...
Now, bear in mind, she's saying she can't understand why you wouldn't want a woman like her. Chat, please fill in some reasons you would not want a woman like her. But first of all, she's going to talk more. Go ahead.
Successful. I'm rich. I can fight. I will say it. I love men. Yeah. Thanks. Yeah. But I don't love a stupid man. If you can't be with my peace, you can be with the door. Yeah, yeah. Oh, you're in your masculine area. Well, why don't you get in yours? I'm sick of men telling me, oh, well, you know, you hardcore. Yes, I am. Can you handle it? Oh, well, yeah. What you bringing to the table? I am the table.
She is the table. She is the table. You see what I mean? Doesn't she seem great? Can't you imagine coming home from a hard day of work? You work 10 hours wherever you work. I don't know what you guys do. You work and you come home to that. I am the table. Horrible. Horrible. And it's a mystery to her why she's single. Let's see. Is there any more of this?
I don't understand.
No, that's right. Okay, so that's it. You see what I'm saying? Like, and obviously that's an extreme example, but that is broadly representative of the attitude a lot of women have as far as dating. They just don't think they have to do anything. And they think all of the onus is on men to completely cater themselves to her. And what he gets in exchange is he gets the privilege of being in her presence. And a lot of women now that have the women with this attitude are just not pleasant to be around. Like, I don't know if women understand that talking like this is a way to just completely disqualify yourself from a relationship. Like, no man who respects himself, every man you'd be interested in dating respects himself. And no man who respects himself is going to put up with being treated this way. You see that? Like, I don't understand why you don't see that. Like, you have to actually like offer something that men want. And all the things she talked about being, I'm rich, I'm successful, I can fight. None of that is valuable to me. Because wealthy women don't spend their money on their partners. Men get wealthy because they want to provide for a family. Women get wealthy because they want to buy shoes. Women resent sharing their wealth and resources with their male partner. Men don't. Men assume that they're going to have to share wealth and resources with a female partner. Men assume that. That's the whole reason we get wealthy in the first place. Men get wealthy and they're like, oh, thank God I can provide for a family. Women get wealthy and say, thank God I can buy that purse I've always wanted. This is one of the reasons that there's been such a significant wealth transfer from men to women in terms of like making sure that women get all the jobs and all the stuff, right? It's because women are way easier to separate from their money. You've heard of the rise of the she economy. We've talked about this on the show before. Economists and consultants speculating, hey, in the future, there's going to be like half of women are going to be single and childless. So, invest in purses, shoes, clothing, cat food. cat litter companies, invest in all those companies, because that's where that boxed wine, so that's where all the growth sectors are going to be, because it's like single women are just way easier to separate from their money. Married women spend money on their family. Single women spend money on useless bullshit. I'm telling you, like, this is not like men get the reason men to spend so much time making money in the first place is like, great, now I can provide a life for my family. And women do not think about it the same way. So your money and how much money you make. And by the way, if you've made a lot of money, then you've probably cultivated an attitude that is completely unpalatable. You've taken all of the parts of you that I like about women, and if you've sanded them off and replaced them with sharp edges. You're going to be confrontational. You're going to be disagreeable. You're going to be hard to be around. You're going to struggle with listening. You're going to struggle with seeing my perspective. You're going to insist on being right. I mean, you could tell. I mean, can you imagine having a conversation with this woman where you need her to apologize? Imagine that for a second. Imagine having to get that woman to apologize. Like, setting aside how she looks for a second, because obviously she looks fucking horrible. Like, obviously her appearance is completely unpalatable. Like, obviously this woman is like an unfuckable troll. I would rather stick my dick in a 10-pound bag of cow shit than this woman. That's true. But it's mean to say. So let's not focus on that. Purely based on personality. Completely unpalatable, right? Completely unpalatable. Yeah, not good. Not good. So, and again, and it's like, imagine, okay, you come home and you're stressed out and you're difficult. Can you imagine a woman with that kind of temperament offering any kind of comfort to you? You can, of course. She doesn't have that gear. That gear is gone. All the things that led her to being successful and wealthier, whatever, you know, she can fight, all the stuff that she listed. None of that. And in fact, she's like, I don't understand why a man wouldn't want me, because you don't understand what men want. And also you've been taught that what men want are not important. What men want is not important to you. Men should just adapt themselves to you. They have no obligation you have no obligation to think about what men want. Right. And that's the problem, is like, you're now trying to sell a product to people who don't want it. Like, so many men have checked out. I don't think there's anything more unattractive that a woman could do than to speak this way. You know, so it's just horrible. It's just fucking awful. They're not, you know, not thinking about it. So just bear in mind, you know, a bunch of women watched that and were like, yes, queen, you're amazing. Right. No one like reflexively said, you know, I think you might want to work on yourself and think about it. Think about what you're talking about. Right. And by the way, I got to show you this one. This is fucking crazy. So this is a video. This is going to tie this into the sex robot discussion. I got to show you this before we get out of here. We're getting down to the end of the show here, but I'm going to show you this. This is, okay, so I don't know. I'm not 100% sure this isn't AI, but I'm pretty sure it's not AI. Hold on. Yep.
So are you. It's easy to forget you're more than human when you look at me like that.
Maybe the rest is just hardware. This part, what I feel, that's real.
I believe you.
Bro, that's a robot. Go ahead.
You're warmer than I expected.
So are you. It's easy to forget you're more than human when you look at me like that.
Maybe the rest is just hardware. This part, what I feel, that's real.
I believe you.
Robot. Bro, women are cooked. If that's where we're at now, women are cooked. I'm telling you, sex robots are right around the corner. Fuckable robots that are actually like nice to you are right around the corner. What I think is interesting about this chick, if you look at this chick, hold on, pull this up. They didn't make her look like a prototypical porn star. Like, they didn't make, like, she's not like stupendously beautiful. This is just like a regular ass, decent looking woman. Right? That's crazy. That's correct. That actually speaks a lot to what men actually desire versus what women think men actually desire, because she does not have a BBL. She does not have lip filler. She does not have like massive titties. She's just a regular ass woman who's nice to you. That's what men want, and that's what the only thing men want. That is like a man's ultimate dream. It's just a regular ass woman that's nice to you, and you have to get a robot to do it now. That's crazy. And I think that's the biggest misunderstanding. I remember, do you guys remember when I interviewed Jasmine, that like feminist OnlyFans chick on the channel a while back? For those of you that didn't see it, go check it out. It's really cool. It's one of my touch grass episodes. It went really well. Anyway, I talked to her and we were talking about, like, I used the term conventionally attractive. And she was like, what does conventionally attractive mean? And she was like, do you mean women that have those big puffy lips that men like so much and a bunch of, filler in their face? And she was like, she said that. And now she wasn't kidding when she said that. She was like dead sure that men loved the plastic surgery look. Like, she didn't understand that, like, broadly speaking, men do not like that at all. Like, that's just something women do to compete with other women on social media. That's like not. It looks weird. Like that, like this is the male fantasy. A regular ass woman who's nice to you. Truly, that's it. And right now, regular ass women are not covering it. Sex robots are right around the fucking corner. And dude, I don't know what's going to fucking happen to the birth rate. If this is like widely available and you can get it on, you can get like a Klarna payment, you can pay $40 a month. Chat, tell me, okay, for you guys right now that are struggling with dating, if you could like pay like $40 a month to Klarna and get one of these, and it acts like this.
You're warmer than I expected.
So are you. It's easy to forget you're more than human when you look at me like that.
Maybe the rest is just hardware. This part, what I feel, that's real.
I believe you.
If you pay like $40 a month for that, you'd do it, right? In a heartbeat. 100%. You're fucking that robot. Don't even fucking lie to me, chat. I know you're fucking the robot. You know how I know? Because I'm fucking the robot. Because I'm sick of these bitches too. Or you just throw her in the dishwasher when you're done. All right, that's gross. I'm sorry. That's okay. Let's see. Let's check in with the chat as we're winding down the show here. Let's check the chat. Yeah. Yeah. This is yeah. Let's see. What are we doing here? Let's see. Oh God, there's so many chats, guys. Yeah. According to my ex, I was embarrassing when we were alone. I could be myself. We go out in public and I act like myself, and she'd treat me like a misbehaving child. Yeah, not a good sign. Not a sign of a woman who respects you. Not good. Not good. If a woman likes and respects you, she'll just kind of like go along with whatever you say. That's kind of the deal. I mean, she might offer you like a gentle correction, but she's not going to scold you like a child. She might offer you like a gentle corrective if she's trying to help. But if it comes from a place of scolding, that girl don't like you. I'm sorry, bro. And let's see. It's like going to Baskin Robbins and being showed pictures of the ice cream, but no actual ice cream is being served. Yeah, dude. It's fine. I know I'm walking around. Shout out green-haired anti-liberal. She's doing her best. No, and to her credit, she has all the external red flags, but she is also based. So she has to do that because she lives out there in Denver. She has to blend in. Yeah, no one wins the battle of the sexes. Crazy Hot Matrix has entered the chat. Very much so. No one wins the battle of the sexes. That's important to know. Like, that's the thing is like see, we talk about this all the time as if like men versus women, as if that's like some kind of like winnable conflict. The reality is if we continue on this way, the species dies. We lose our civilization because we don't hit replacement rates. So, and they're acting like it's a good thing that a certain amount of men are just going to get washed out of the gene pool. Like they speak about it with delight. They can't contain their glee that some men are going to die by either taking their own lives or to be completely washed out of the gene pool because they can't compete. They're so delighted by that. They love the thought of men suffering. And it's like, why? You don't benefit from this. Like it's not long-term thinking. It's like short-term, spiteful, emotionally motivated thinking. Yeah, good for Nate. Who let Kerchak out of his cage? That's funny. She at the table, she's the zoo. Very true. Someone forget to put slop in her trough. Why is she out of her pen? Oh man, you guys are great. Oh man. Once you decenter sexuality, you realize dating was mostly driven by hormones. Yeah, that's very true. Watcher X. That's a great point. This is why I say, like, don't try to fuck people you don't know. Like, approach people with genuine curiosity and let them tell you who you are. Let them tell you who they are. And like, if you just like ask people questions and let them talk, a lot of women will tell you in the first 20 or 30 minutes that they're a feminist or that they're obnoxious or that they have some like stupid fucking beliefs. People ask me like why I have all these confrontational interactions with women. It's because I ask questions. I just ask them what they think about stuff. And you don't have to ask them like, are you a feminist? They will tell you. If you talk to them for long enough, they'll start to tell you. So they can't help it. They can't contain it, you know? And then if you find it, if they reveal that they have a bunch of like dumb fucking feminist beliefs, then just like don't. Just wait on the sex robot. So that's the thing. You have nothing to lose because if you try to date and it doesn't work, look where they're at with sex robots. That's right around the corner. So you got nothing to lose. Worst case scenario, you retire with the sex robot. Are you Indian? Cow shit is not sacred, Theo. Keep it in your pants. Listen, I've stuck it in worse places than that, I assure you. Let's see. I recommend everyone check their odds of marriage. Once you accept how completely unlikely it is, you no longer worry about it. Marriage and divorce rates are something we have reliable stats on. That's true. The only pushback I'll give you on that is that your behavior affects your odds significantly. We are not slaves to statistics. Your behavior affects your outcomes significantly. I'm a Han Solo kind of guy. Never tell me the odds. Of course, I'm trying to do stand-up comedy, so like I'm fine taking huge risks on like low percentage realities, and it's been working for me so far. So it's definitely the ball's definitely moving on that. So I'm a big fan of marriage, but also like if you're getting married for like if you're not religious, don't get married. There's no point because like you like the like so like you don't. If marriage is just going to be a contract with the government for tax purposes, then there's no fucking point because then you can just dissolve it. It doesn't mean anything unless marriage is an oath that you're taking in front of God. Then don't fucking do it. I think religious people have a motivation to get married beyond that because God asks us to. I think God wants us to. But if you're just making a contract with the government for tax purposes, then I don't think there's any fucking reason to because there's no reason to not dissolve. There's so much incentive to dissolve that contract, especially on the woman's side. And there's like the incentives are not in favor of people staying together. So I also think that your behavior does affect your outcome. For instance, if you're just like, fucking everything that comes within 10 feet of you, of course, your odds of marriage are going to be pretty low. If you're dating intentionally, that improves your odds of marriage. Your odds of staying married improve depending on how you're treating your partner. Right? Now, you can't control other people's behavior. I would say a boomer told me once, as long as you take care of as long as you do your best to take care of your family, everything should work itself out. And another thing too is like, let's say you do your absolute best and she does leave you. At least you can rest your head on the pillow at night knowing you did your best. Like it may still suck, but at least you know you did your best. So I think it's still worth doing in its own way. But again, like for me, that comes from religious practice. I don't think I'd be interested in marriage if I was not religious. So I don't think I'd be interested in getting married outside the church, because you gotta understand, you want to have a shared understanding of what that is. And if you and your partner share your religious identity and you choose to get married and you swear an oath before God, that shit's forever. It sticks. And you got to have that shared understanding going in, because if you both go into marriage being like, maybe I'll stick around, maybe I won't, then that kind of undermines the whole purpose. That defeats the whole purpose. I do think marriage is a necessary building block for having stable society. I think all of the political problems that we're having are downstream of the man-woman issue. That's why I focus on it so much. It's not motivated by like a hatred of women. That's what a lot of people think, but it's like, I think the man-woman issue is like upstream of all of the political strife and the isolation and the lack of empathy. Remember when Charlie Kirk got popped and all those people were like online celebrating his death? Did you notice how many of them were women? Almost all of them. Not all of them, but almost all of them. I think, and how many like women are, young women especially, women in general, but young women especially are. I mean, it's not just young women. It's Gen Z, millennial, boomer, Gen X, whatever. The animating force of the obnoxious, hysterical, woke left is women. Like, that's who's in the streets doing the shrieking. That's who's blocking the ICE vehicles. You know, it's women. Right. And I think a lot of this is downstream of them not getting married, because they're just staring at their phones all day and the phone is telling them to be terrified. And they don't have a husband to turn to and bounce ideas off of, and for him to just be like, hey, it's okay. I'm here. Have a taco. Feel better. Like, that's an important function, is like women's anxiety brain gets like, can spin out of control if they don't have a man to kind of provide a sense of emotional stability. That's one of the functions that like men perform in a woman's life. Just like men will forget to do basic self-care if they don't have a woman in their life. But like women's anxiety hamster will just go crazy on the hamster wheel, especially if they have propaganda being pumped into their brain all the time. So actually, like, I think men and women pairing up is actually critical to our society calming the fuck down. I really do. And also, like, it helps, dating women. You become a better person adapting to the presence of a woman in your life too. I think men become more empathetic over time if they have women in their life. So, I mean, I think it's necessary. I think our politics would be a lot better if men and women actually fucking got along. Seriously. Like, that's why I focus so much on that, is because I think that's the only thing I'm sure I'm right about. Everything else I could be wrong about. But that's the one thing, the one issue that I'm sure I'm right about, which is why I talk about it so much. I know men and women need to get along, otherwise we don't have a fucking society. So if women were afraid of sex robots, they have no one but themselves to blame, and I have no sympathy for the many cat ladies made from this phenomenon. Yeah. It's sorry. It's like, here's the thing. Here's the problem with the dating crisis right now. It's video games and porn have gotten way better and women have gotten way worse. That's it. And now we're like staring down the barrel of having realistic sex robots. And by the way, I cannot stress this enough. When men made sex robots, they didn't make porn stars, right? They didn't make all the things women say about us, that we like teenagers, that we like porn stars, that we like this and that. No. Look at this robot. That's like a regular ass woman. That's a regular looking woman. She's not unappealing, but there's like, I could go to the mall and see like 100 girls who look more or less that good. Just a regular ass woman who's nice. That's what we created when we could create our perfect fantasy woman. That's what we created. So I just complete misunderstanding. And by the way, that's a very achievable thing for most women. Most women could find a guy who treats them the way that they want to be treated. It's just not going to be the hottest guy they've ever. They could probably fuck a hotter guy, but they're not going to get treated well by hotter guy. You get treated well, like the guys who would treat you well. Those are your dating options. A lot of women struggle with that. They're like, but I can fuck this guy who treats me terribly. How do I get the guy I can fuck to treat me better? It's like, you can't. He sees you as a fleshlight. He sees you as a noisy mass of flesh built around some useful holes. That's how he sees you. So he's never going to treat you like a person. The guys who treat you well, those are your dating options. Those are the guys who will treat you like a person. Women have a hard time accepting that. Because remember, if you fuck a woman, she's going to think she's special. So that's why you don't do it. Don't indiscriminately fuck people because they think they're special after that. Not good. Anyway, sex robots are coming right around the corner. So not saying we should get sex robots, but I'm saying you got nothing to lose by trying to date now because we're like less than 10 years out from realistic sex robots that you can get on Klarna. So fucking swing for the fences. See if you can get a real woman before the sex robot apocalypse. At least I can just shut her off when she starts saying, yeah, that's my favorite thing about the sex robot video is she actually interrupts him while he's talking. And I was like, it is a woman. That's perfect. Yeah. 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 Literally doing nothing is better than alien plastic surgery look. Yeah. Yeah. That's not conventionally attractive. No, but that's genuinely what she thought. I don't know. And I think this is like a terminally online thing. I don't know if this is just like women talking to each other. The other thing too is that a lot of like leftist women and feminist women, they are not surrounded by men who are honest with them. The men that they hang out with, and this is something that the Jasmine, that girl I interviewed, would think she mentioned. She's like, all the men she hangs out with are like polyamorous, bisexual weirdos. In other words, men who are male feminists who are just like lying absolutely all the time about what they really think, about what they really desire, because they're deriving their opinions from consensus. They're saying whatever they think is going to make whatever they think the women around them want to hear. Right. So they don't have any honest men, around them who are going to be like, nah, bro, that shit's gross. And she's not seeking out male opinions. Like I was the first one who had ostensibly like opinions from the male perspective that she had spoken to. She'd never heard those opinions before, really. So Sargon did an intervention. Women, please stop. All women going on some rocket launch all look like they had plastic surgery. Yeah, it's horrible. Horrible. Yeah, this is actually a good point. I'm a Qui-Gon Jinn guy. Your focus determines your reality. Yeah, you are going to see what you are looking for sure. So that's the thing. I think it's like the reality is that there's a lot of reasons things are bleak, but it also is a reality that things have always been bleak throughout human history, and you got to find what you're looking for. You will find what you're looking for, whatever it is. So I think being discerning and being able to tune out bullshit and being able to tune out like unpalatable people is critical. And that's the thing. It's just like firing quickly, just like interviewing a lot of people and firing quickly, because you only need to find one good one. You only need to find one good one, and you can just tell the rest of them to fuck off. And if a woman says something that like makes her completely unpalatable to hang out with, you can just not talk to her again. It's crazy. You don't have to fuck her or anything. You're not required to fuck women you don't like. You can just move on to the next one. You can be like, you seem great. Take it easy. And they won't even be mad if you don't fuck them. That's true. Women are way less mad if you don't fuck them first. If you fuck them, then abandon them, they get upset. If you don't fuck them, if you just say, oh, thank you, take care. In general, they're a lot happier with you. Pro tip. Oh, definitely. Some people will relentlessly pursue dating until they get the outcome they believe they want, but most single people are single for valid reasons. That's true. We talked about that on the show last week. Almost everybody, if you're 30 plus and you're single, you are single because of your choices. There's always a reason. And it's not always your choices, but it's mostly your choices. Now, I will say in defense of us 30 plus single people, the reasons that we made the choices we made, in my case, and in the case of a lot of people, we made the choices that the culture told us to make. It wasn't until later that we figured out that was horse shit. And by the time you figure out it's horse shit, it takes time to change course. So I think a lot of people are in that boat. But it's like, yeah, you got to take accountability for your bullshit, man. It's like there's usually everyone who's single over 30, there's a reason. And usually that reason is their choices. Now, different people, there's different things. Some people, they're outliers, obviously. For the most part, it's our choices that led to these outcomes. And we got to deal with that. Like the people I know a lot of people in nightlife, bartenders, waitresses, comedians, musicians, magicians now, because it's Vegas, a ton of magicians out here. All the people in nightlife who are chronically single are usually caught in a pattern of making the same types of bad choices over and over again, and they have a hard time getting out of it. So that's pretty common. It would take, there's people who are gonna, I always say this, it's like some people will spend a decade of their life miserable because they don't want to do 6 months of hard self-reflection. So it's like, do you want to have a hard 6 months and change your life, or do you want to have a hard decade and change nothing? Because if you don't change anything, your next decade is going to look a lot like your last decade. I think a lot of people, this is bad cultural messaging about what results in relationships too. Because a lot of people think they're going to just like slip and fall and accidentally end up in, meeting the love of their life. And they're just going to like stumble into true love in their mid 40s or whatever. And it's like, nah, bro, that ain't how it works. You got to build a relationship, and it's easier if you start earlier. Once you're in your 30s, it's like you kind of have a way of doing things, and you got to fit somebody into the way you already do shit, and you got to fit your shit into the way they already do shit. It becomes just harder and harder and harder to combine your life, and it's just like, ugh, the fuck is the point? I mean, I know there's a point. I know it's like good to do, but like, this is what I'm saying is like, don't be a fucking slut and like focus on relationships when you're younger. Because that will put you in a better position. Once you're 30 plus, it's way better to like already like have your relationship locked in, because it just frees up a lot of the other thing too is it frees up a lot of bandwidth to focus on other things. Like if you get your relationship shit knocked out early, like I have a good friend of mine who he got married recently. He's been dating the same woman since he was 17 years old. They got married at 27 after 10 years being together. And not because he's never been on Tinder, never got on dating apps, never, whatever, just focused on growing his career because he had dating locked up. Right. So he focused on getting his education done, getting his career established, leisure activities, stuff like that. Like he just did not have to dedicate. It takes a lot of bandwidth, especially now, because there's so many obstacles preventing people from getting together. If you want to actually form meaningful relationships, it takes a tremendous amount of focused effort and work. It's not that fun. It's like, it used to be fun. Like, I used to be into, sport fucking, and I did it because it was fun. Not fun anymore. Now it's fucking miserable experience. We got a great video of me on Halloween. I was on Halloween and I was at this party and the DJ called a bunch of girls on stage, and they just immediately started like shaking ass and like twerking. They just immediately started throwing ass, just like reflexively. And my friend's got a great video of me just being like, ugh. Like I was just like grimacing because it's like, where is your father? It was crazy. It's like no one asked them to throw ass. They just started doing it, and they all had their butt cheeks out anyway. It's just like, oh, fuck, man. That's what the options are? Ugh. Not good. Anyway, so it's like, that's not that fun. So if you can get that shit locked down early, it's better to do. It's also like harder to meet people once you're not in school. It's the other thing too. Yeah. Theo speaks the truth, do what's right, even if no one else is, and even if it falls apart, you have a clear conscience. That's exactly right. Yeah. I'm sorry. I know it sucks. I wish there was a way, because the red pill teaches you a lot of strategies to like protect yourself from getting hurt. Where it's like, yeah, never be emotional with a chick and always put her in her place and maintain frame and all this stuff. It's not reality. Reality is you cannot completely avoid getting hurt. It is a thing that happens, and we act like it's super cool to avoid getting hurt, but it's actually very cowardly. I think that the possibility of having a good relationship is worth the risks of ending up in a bad one. Because the benefits of a good relationship are tremendous. Even though that shit is very, very, very hard to find now, the benefits of a good relationship are in general worth the risks and worth the work. The Bible tells us that. That if you find a good woman, it's like the best. A good wife is like the most valuable thing a man could possibly have. But also a quarrelsome wife, it's better to just fucking live in the desert, So, that's true too. So I understand that having a bad one is horrible, but having a good one is like one of the best things you can have. So it's worth the risk in general. And if you are doing everything you can do on your end, you really can't control other people's behavior. And that's the thing. Like if you can, but if you're, if you're engaging in this pattern of like petty one-upsmanship that the red pill advises, then you're just going to attract people who are also engaging in power games and petty one-upsmanship. Like you're not going to find virtuous, honest people that you can make an honest connection with if you're not willing to be authentic and put yourself out there and take the risks. And there's risks associated with that. If you put yourself out there authentically, then you're going to get rejected for the person you actually are, not the personality you made up, but it is what it is. And as long as you, and that's the thing. If you like invest and take care of things and you do absolutely everything you can do in your relationship, hell man, even if she leaves you, you got a clear conscience. So it doesn't mean it's not going to suck, but it means like, hey, you did everything you could do. And that's the only thing you can actually control. There's actually no foolproof method for controlling other people's behavior. They're going to do what they're going to do regardless. That's just how it is. Yeah, women used to be the moral backbone of society, then feminism told them not to be. Yeah, dude. Well, because I think women go with the majority opinion. Whatever the majority opinion of the time is, that's what they go with. And for whatever subversive reasons, feminism became the cultural norm. It's like subversion of the culture, of the dominant culture, became the cultural norm. And this like guilt that we have in Western culture about being successful became the norm. And this like, let's tear it all down because of oppression became like the normal point of view. It's super stupid, man. It's like people have no actual appreciation of how fucking awesome it is to live in the West as compared to living to other people. I talked to this guy. I know a guy who moved here from Israel, and he's like, bro, you have no idea. This idea in America that you can be anything you want and you can take a risk and things might actually go well for you, that does not exist in most of the rest of the world. Like it's really here where people actually like try to do stuff. You do whatever you want. It's like a lot of people here do not appreciate how much freedom you have to call your own shot and, pursue your own goals. People do not appreciate how good they have it here. And I think that's definitely true, especially on the left. It's like absolutely crazy how much just abject disdain they have for their own culture. And it's crazy. It's especially crazy for women because of like how much worse so many other places are for women. It's like, bro, if you don't like it here, go live somewhere else and see how it is. Only 7 in 1,000 women at age 55 attempt marriage. 55% of those end in divorce. Whew. Yeah, it's bleak, bro. Yeah, men don't want to control women. We just want them to be nice to us. Yeah. And it's crazy because what men ask for from women is relatively simple. And what women ask for from men, they're like, it's super easy. Just agree with absolutely everything I think politically. Never disagree with me on anything ever. Always apologize. Never hold me accountable. Never demand that I have any accountability in the relationship. And, be attractive to me and sexually satisfying to me, and adopt a political ideology where you are completely humiliated, demoralized, and debased at all times, and where everything you think about the world, where you deny factual reality. Just all you have to do to be with me is just like debase yourself, deny factual reality, pretend you don't have any needs, give me absolutely everything, ask nothing in return. And in return, you get me. I'm just going to hang out and spend your money. It's like, and yet they say there is this broadie that men are delusional for what they want. But like, and also like, even if you actually said this to a woman, it's like literally all you have to do is like be nice to men. Being nice to men is pick me behavior, right? That makes you a gender traitor. So like women will discourage other women from being nice to men. They will encourage them to be meaner. That's really fucking awful. Yeah, I agree. Once you drop below 1%, it's probably not the cards. I get you. And there's probably ways you can improve your odds. But yeah, if you look at the raw statistical data, it is super bleak. I think there's ways you can probably improve your odds, but yeah, it depends on where you're at. So I think especially for the young guys, I think they've still got a shot. So it's just going to be a question of hanging out in the right places. I think you can waste a lot of time, especially when you're young, hanging out in like clubs and stuff, trying to find somebody. And it's like, no, the purpose of a club is to develop your cold approach skill set. So when you meet a nice woman at like Starbucks or church or something, you can actually hold a conversation without shitting your pants. Because that's not going to happen. Because if you just like don't talk to a woman until you see one you actually like, then you're going to shit your pants. That's just how it is. You might still shit your pants if you see a woman you actually like for the first time, but you'll at least be able to recover if you have some fucking practice. You just kind of like deaden yourself, and it's like that sucks. That sucks that you have to do that, but it is what it is. We're getting closer and closer to being in Detroit become human. LOL. Yeah, for real. This is actually a really good point Watcher X is making right now. Many people are high-functioning depressives. Depression causes anhedonia, a loss of interest. So it's like a doom loop where people lose interest. Yeah, I've definitely been dealing with that lately. Like I have been really having to force myself to like get up off my ass and do my regular shit. And I have like zero interest in doing it. Like I am not psyched about doing stand-up or podcasts right now. Like I'm fucking like cooked, just because of like the grind of it and stuff. Yeah, I definitely feel that, in my own life. And I'm like not psyched at all about like talking to people, but I have to keep talking to people in order to continue to, be able to do stand-up and kind of keep things going. And I have to keep doing stand-up because I need to, keep the revenue streams going in. And I have to keep doing, YouTube stuff if I want YouTube to eventually. My goal was for this year I don't have any revenue related goals, but I just want to have a professional looking YouTube by the end of the year, and a professional looking social media presence by the end of the year. So that's YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, whatever, all the different ones. And it's like, I have no fucking interest in doing that. And sometimes like if I post a tweet and there's an error in it, a lot of times I'll be like, I would rather just not do the podcast than take down this tweet, fix the error, and post it again. Because it's just so much fucking work and I hate it. And that's not because it's a lot of work. It's just because, like you say, this high functioning depression point. I think a lot of people certainly people who live in urban centers are feeling that way because of a lot of reasons: the disconnection, lack of connection to the community, feeling kind of demoralized, feeling like whatever you do is pointless, all that stuff. That is extremely widespread. Now, the good news about that is that I think people are desperate for connection. And I think in a weird way, it's easier to connect with people because of that. Because people want connection and they don't have it. So if you know that, you can take the initiative and connect with people you want to connect with. I think that actually can work. Again, a lot of these theories I'm like testing in real time myself. Like I'm telling you guys about cold approach because I'm going out and doing cold approach. I'm telling you guys about like networking, connecting with people because I'm doing that. I will report back on what I find. My theory right now is that people want to connect with people. They want, and I actually do think women want to be approached despite all the shrieking they've done about not wanting to be approached. I actually do think women do want to be approached. It's just going to be, obviously time, place, and manner matter. But I think in general, especially at clubs and stuff, when I went to this Halloween party, I really got the impression a lot of women wanted to be approached. No one was approaching them, I've been noticing a lot of girls at clubs bumping into me on purpose or bumping into me like accidentally on purpose kind of deal. And at first I didn't know what to make of that. And then, my good buddy Iron Oxide pointed out to me, it's like, bro, they're trying to get your attention. Pay it. That's what's going on. I'm like, But we've gotten, the other thing too is like, it's not just the men that are socially retarded. The women are socially retarded too. I say this all the time. Women do not know how to flirt anymore. I probably the last time I was like in the field, like trying to like hit on people was like in pre-COVID, right? So and my values have completely changed since then. So I wouldn't even do that now. But like going out again, just like going out to go out and just to see things, right? Because it's a nightlife city. I've noticed complete shift. Everybody's socially retarded now. Like nobody knows how to drop the handkerchief anymore. Nobody knows how to flirt. Like the women are socially retarded too. So if you're a man and you're socially retarded, she's socially retarded too, probably. The culture has trained her to be mean, but like she doesn't know another way to be. She doesn't know how to actually be interested in you, probably. So like that's a huge deal right now, is that like people just like don't fucking know how to talk to each other. Here's the thing. Here's why that's good. If you have the skill set to actually be able to talk to people in real life, that's a broken stat now, because almost no one can do it. Almost no one can have a conversation that's interesting. Almost no one can like listen and respond to another person. Almost no one can ask a follow-up question. Almost no one can draw a personal insight from something someone just said. Almost no one can draw an inference. I mean, I watched this. I was talking to a bunch of people yesterday about a bunch of different subjects, and it was a bunch of people waiting for their turn to talk. I think I was the only one who even tried to listen to other people from what I saw. Yeah, dude, it's super rare. So cultivating your like listening and responding skills, like that becomes a broken stat. So again, these are the things I'm picking up and I'm passing them along to you guys. Like I've said, I'm not going to bullshit you. I'm going to tell you what actually the reality is in the field. So I'm going to keep doing it. So I have to. I don't have a choice. I don't have anything else to do. Because I need things to happen in my life for me to write about things. So I have to talk to people. So I'm going to go out and talk to people. I'm going to tell you what happens. That's just what I'm observing. Just turned 27. Time is running out for me. Nah, bro, you're fine. But, I mean, obviously get on it. But, yeah, you're like, that's actually like a good age. Because it's not just that you're 27. You got to think about how old the women you want to date are. So, like, you're probably trying to date a girl that's like 22 to 24, maybe 25. And like 25 is probably like the youngest a girl's going to be where she's going to be like psyched about getting married, unless she's like super Christian, in which case she might be trying to get married at like 21, 22, 23. But like most chicks under 25 are like not trying to get married. So it's not just you being the right age. It's like you got to wait till the women you're trying to marry are the right age too. You got to factor that in. I think some of these female article authors are trying to spin or understand their personal loss of interest. Boyfriends are the new ick, apparently. Yeah, I think, well, okay, because you got to think, okay, being ran through fucks up your ability to pair bond. If you have enough bad experience, like if you have enough of these like horrible experiences where you have sex with a bunch of men and keep getting abandoned, yeah, you're gonna be demoralized because it's like your dopamine shit is gonna be fucked. Your whole reward system, which is encouraging you to pair bond, is gonna be fucked. And then of course, if you're stacking like porn and social media addiction on top of that, your whole reward center is fucked. And if you're like consuming propaganda that tells you all the time that you're perfect and amazing and that the men around you are garbage. And then also the other thing too is that, yeah, and this is largely because government and social norms have put a thumb on the scale. There's a lot of women who have a bunch of impressive unearned accomplishments. And they look around. But remember, these women were told that they had to work 10 times as hard to be half as successful as a man because of patriarchy. When the reality is they had the wind at their back the whole time. They had all these special programs and hiring quotas and affirmative action and all this stuff that they were the beneficiaries of. The government put a thumb on the scale, benefiting women at the expense of men. So they look around and they're like, well, if I had to work 10 times as hard to be half as successful, Remember, that's an anti-truth. The reality is they worked not even half as hard and got way, 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 way more accolades. But they look around and they're like, oh, well, if I had to work 10 times as hard to be half as successful, because that's what they told me what was happening, and I look around and I don't see any men who are similarly successful as me. Men must be lazy and useless. I must be amazing. Because they don't understand, they don't see reality. And I've literally tried to explain this to women, and they're like, ha, that's ridiculous. You're a white man. Like, cry more. It just sounds like whining to me. You know, like I tried to explain to a feminist friend once that like the way the school system punishes natively male behavior. She didn't want to acknowledge the existence that there was such a thing as male behavior and female behavior. She thinks all behavior is the same. She doesn't think there's like innate differences between the sexes. So that was part of the argument that I had to win. And she didn't want to acknowledge that the school system is biased against the way men natively approach the world, and that that women have an easier time in school just because of how they natively are. She thinks that men would just be happier if they behaved more like women. And she's like, it just sounds like whining to me. It's like, be nice to me or I'm going to become a fascist. Like, that doesn't make sense. It's like, it doesn't matter if it makes sense. That's what's happening. You annoyed, you henpecked, nagged, shrieked, shrewd the average young man into being fascism curious. You did that, and you got to own that. Whether or not you think it makes sense doesn't matter. You got to own that. So that's why it's slow. So rather than fascism, try to get out there and get married and go to church. That's the message. We're closing on that. That's a good message. Wow, Nate, you are not running out of time, dude. I'm fucking 36. Bite me. LOL. Yeah, washed. Expired. I'm kidding. Don't hate me. Shout out to the 4%. We love you guys. Yeah. It's good. No, Nate, no, she's right though. You're not running out of time because you got to think about how old the women you're trying to date are and when they're trying to get married. And you're going to have a hard time finding any woman under the age of 25 who's even thinking about marriage. Just the way it is. Just how it is. I mean, it's not that there are zero. There are some, especially if you go to, because I know you go to church, bro. So like, there might be some girls at church who are looking for it, but like for the most part, nah. But let's focus on like building up your personal shit. And you're going to be fine. Like build up your personal shit and build up yourself. So that way you're ready. Because like, again, you're not trying to, I think this idea that you've got to go out and find a woman is not exactly right. It's like, really, you got to build something that you build a garden, right? You cultivate a garden, and then the birds and the bees and so on are going to hang out in your garden. So if you have, something, appealing to women, then they might want to come hang out with you. And you also got to remember what the women you're actually looking for are, because don't listen to what the culture says, because the culture says be tall, be ripped, have money, whatever. I got to say, none of the guys I know who are actually married, I'm a little older than you, I know guys who are actually married to good women. None of them are tall. None of them are ripped. None of them have Bugattis. The guys I know who are married, you know what they do? They're honest. They do what they say they're going to do. They try hard. They show up on time. They are employed in something. Not all of them are stupendously wealthy, but they are employed at some pursuit, which they pursue regularly and sort of stabilizes them. And they're hardworking. And they're very focused on building and improving their own lives. None of them are millionaires. None of them have Bugattis. None of them dress flashy. None of them are stupendously handsome. None of that. They all just, but they're honest. They're hardworking. They show up on time. They do what they say they're going to do. They pay attention to their partners and they listen. Like, that's what I've noticed. They have. So those are all like, that's all character stuff. You can, even if you're broke, you can have good character. And as a young guy, you're allowed to be broke. That's fine. That's something the culture has not told you. You are allowed to be broke. That's fine. That's almost all. Rich guys are almost all old. That's how they got rich. They've just been alive for a long time. It takes a long time to get rich, actually. Being young and rich is the exception, and it almost always has ruinous consequences. That's the other thing, too. So, yeah, no, dude, you're fine. Cultivating good character is free. It only costs you the fucking hard knock experiences it takes to learn good character. That's the only cost. So, yeah, you can cultivate that, and that will be appealing to the right people. It's just going to be, we live in a very shallow culture where not as many women are checking for that, but the ones you actually want are going to be checking for your character. That's it. So people often conceptualize their potential lifetimes as 100 years, but it's more like 78. When I was 38, I didn't think of it as middle-aged. Yeah, for real. Yeah, but that's actually reality. You just don't have like, life is short, man. Like, so fucking take your swings and fucking get out there and do stuff. Because you will fucking die someday. That's the thing I think people forget. I mean, this is the Stoics talk about this. They say memento mori is the Stoic expression, which means you're going to die someday, basically. One day you'll die. The thing about life is that one day you're going to die, period. That's just how it is. And that's not changing. That's true for everybody. That is not changing no matter what. You are going to die someday. You're going to be in the ground someday. It's your job to make some kind of interesting use of the time you have. So figure out something. Do something with your time, bro. Do something with your time. And the other thing, too, is if you're a religious person like I am, you believe in God. That means God puts people in your life for a reason, and he's going to drop the right person in your life at the right time. So you actually, what's crazy is like, because if you believe in the will of God, you actually can't stop him. You actually can't stop yourself from, being with the right person at the right time because God wills it. So it's going to happen. It's going to happen no matter what. You actually can't get in the way of it. If you're following the will of God to the best of your ability, you're going to end up with the right person no matter what. That's actually nothing you can do about it. Sorry, because that's the will of God, and you're following the will of God. So that takes a lot of the pressure off. And also, things probably are the way they are because that's how they're supposed to be. Like, whatever's happening to you right now is what you need to learn, whatever lesson you're supposed to learn. So, I mean, that's comforting. As fucked up as things may be externally, like, there's a reason why they are. And that's the thing is, like, I agree with what Watcher X is saying. There's a tremendous amount of, like, high-functioning depressives out there. There's probably some of them in this chat. We're all just doing our best in a society that does not want us to feel good, that does not want us to have a sense of community. It doesn't want us to have friends. It wants us to be alone and isolated so that we consume, so we buy more shit, so we keep the economic wheels going, so we're constantly debt slaves. We're going into debt to buy fucking hamburgers now. People are going into debt to order food off DoorDash. You realize how fucking crazy that is? But that's what they want. They want us like short-term thinking. They do not want you to have hope. They don't want you to have hope for the future. That's why you're being fed all this fucking black-pilling messages about relationships and stuff like that. They do not want you to have hope for the future. They do not want you to build anything. The people who want to destroy the human spirit do not want you to have hope for the future. And what I'm saying to you is that that's not what God wants. This is the day that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad. Right? You're supposed to rejoice in creation. This is for your enjoyment, ostensibly. Also, the other thing, too, is that we're supposed to be grateful for our suffering. That's critical. And I don't know about you guys. I'm suffering a hell of a lot right now, in my own way. I'm screwed. I'm working very, very, very hard. I'm dedicating, not that you guys give a shit, but I'm dedicating a tremendous amount of time, effort, energy, and focus to building my career right now. And it is going very, 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 very slowly in some areas. It's like some areas it's going very well. Some areas it's going very, very slowly. And I am constantly frustrated. And that can be demoralizing and depressing and exhausting and not that fun. But you know what? I'm grateful for it because, hey, at least I get to struggle for something that I actually want. A lot of dudes out here struggling 40, 50, 60, even 80 hours a week doing shit they don't even care about. Yeah, and it's like, yeah, they probably make more money than me, but they're doing shit they don't care about. At least I get to work on something that I give a shit about. You know, even if it's not stupendously successful, at least I get to work on something I give a shit about. That's an enormous privilege. Most people never get that, you know? So that's what I'm saying. So whatever your situation is, you fucking high functioning depressives, I'm going to be using that because that's fucking the most accurate shit I've ever heard. I think it's hard to be even remotely intelligent in this society and not be depressed. I really do. Right? It's so difficult to just look around at what's actually happening and see all the fucking slop. And I don't just mean like the slop media, the slop short social media videos, the slop food, the slop, you know, all the streaming shows and the everything. It's just slop. The porn. It's designed to keep us numb and disinterested and apathetic and passive so that we don't assert ourselves. We don't chase our dreams. We don't do anything that's going to try to make the world around us even remotely better. We don't invest in our communities. We don't try to form relationships, the necessary things that we would need to do. And because if we did all those things, then we would be like, you know, we would be a lot less susceptible to being brainwashed to act against our own self-interest. Let's see what we got here. Yeah. Let's see. I don't believe in the wall because women can attract men at any age, but if forced to guess an age for the wall that includes both sexes, it's 38. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. It's like, I don't know. I see people pair up, older. I don't know. It's interesting to see how the millennial generation is going to play things out because there's so many people who are single over 30, more so than at any point in history, single and childless over 30. It'll be very interesting to see how that plays out. Like eventually, are people going to cave and pair up? Or the other thing too is we got a bunch of older people, like this phenomenon of gray divorce. We got a bunch of older people who just like got divorced and are, you know, more people are like dating in their 50s and 60s than like previously. That was like a very, very, very uncommon thing. And now it's like stupendously common. You know, it might be like more common now because, like I said, I'm in comedy, so I like meet these people. But yeah, it like I don't know what the fucking relationship norms are going to be going forward. You know. Yeah, Watcher X. Even women have given birth for the first time in their 40s. Modern feminists have been telling women that 35 is the end, and it's okay though. Yeah, it's tough. You sound like my mom, my aunt, my uncle. You're a real one. Oh, thanks, homie. Yeah, that's actually very helpful. Is actually like having family around you is super critical. One of the things they want, that's what's crazy is that we don't have time. This is going to have to be another episode, but this phenomenon of cutting off your parents that's super common in the millennial and Gen Z generations is super harmful. I know some people's parents are assholes, but for the most part, most people's parents are humans who did their best. And I think there's something about therapy culture that encourages people to cut off their families. And I think the goal of that is to isolate you from the people who are obligated to care about you, because that makes your life harder. For some people, cutting off their parents makes their life easier. I totally get that. But for a lot of people, that actually just makes their life harder. Because people cut off their parents for stupid reasons, like because they voted for Trump or whatever, which is a retarded reason to stop talking to your family. Just objectively a retarded reason to stop talking about your family. And these are the people who have to care about you. They're required to, and it's their biological imperative to care about you. And I understand some people's parents are assholes, but if literally your reason for, and this is the truth for a lot of people, if your reason for cutting off your family is they don't support rights because they voted for Trump or whatever, that's retarded. That's retarded. That's like anti-human to do that. And that's something that like therapy culture encourages tremendously. It's actually really now more than ever, we must lean on our families. Now more than ever, we must lean on our families because everything about the society wants to undermine your connections with other people. So you should lean more into connection Connect with people out of spite. I'm serious. Like, just to spite, because the evil overlords who want to feed us bugs. We talked about this on Touch Grass last week about how it's like, oh my God, there's this right-wing conspiracy that they want us to eat bugs. Meanwhile, there's all this fucking celebrity propaganda trying to convince you that eating bugs is normal. Yeah, dude. Like, those people, they don't want you hanging out with your family. The people who want you to eat bugs do not want you to hang out with your family. So keep that in mind. Yeah, if they're midlife crisis, it's when staring down 40. Yeah, I was blessed to have a quarter life crisis. I had my crisis at 24. And that allowed me that eventually set me on the path that sent me on the path. I was still a couple of life direction changes away from that. You know, I also had the turning 30 crisis where I realized I had spent my entire 20s chasing goals that I didn't have anymore because that's what society told me was cool. Not my entire 20s, but like the second half of my 20s. I spent chasing goals that society told me was cool because I was chasing social approval. But yeah, no, dude. Yeah, I'm blessed. I'm blessed to be working on stuff that I actually care about. It's awesome. And I would encourage everybody to do the same, especially if you're in your 20s, because it doesn't fucking matter. If you're in your 20s as a man, it doesn't fucking matter if you're poor. So, like, work part-time at a pizza joint and, like, fucking make content or whatever. Like, whatever you want to do. Or whatever the thing is you want to do. If you want to go ride bulls or fucking drift cars or I don't know. I got a buddy who has a really significant side hustle where he paints Warhammer figurines. Like, people pay him money to paint their Warhammer figurines, their Warhammer miniatures, because people don't want to do it. People like having miniatures, but nobody wants to paint them because it's tedious, time consuming, and he fucking loves it. He loves painting Warhammer miniatures so much that he painted all of his and he ran out. So now people are paying him to paint theirs. Right? And he just advertises that on the internet. That's just a thing he does because he likes doing it and it makes him money. That didn't happen right away. Took him a while to figure that out, but he fucking does it. Like, whatever your thing is that you want to do the shit out of it. You know, because life is short and you're probably not going to buy a house anyway. So, like, there's literally no incentive at all for men to take the safe path at all. Because you don't get any buy-in. Like, if you buy into the social system, you just get exploited and you get nothing in return. You don't get a wife who's nice to you. You don't get a house. You know, you can't get a nice car. Can't go on vacation. So what the fuck is the point? Just do whatever you want. Fuck it. Yeah. We were all going to be rock stars and billionaires. Oh, classic Fight Club reference. Yeah, dude. They really fucked us. With the cultural messaging. But yeah, that's a huge. I actually find the fact that everything is fucked deeply liberating, because you have no obligation now to take the safe path, because there is no safe path. The safe path was always an illusion to keep you compliant. The safe path is going to lead to you eating the bugs. Literally, there is no safe path anymore. There's risks no matter what. So if you're going to take risks no matter what, do whatever it is you want to do. Whatever the fuck that is. And that's going to be different for everybody. A lot of my introverted kings, you guys don't want to make content on social media. You guys want to go fucking, live in a cabin in the woods and fucking hunt deer for food or whatever. That sounds lit. Go do that. Or do something like that. Get as close to that as you can. It may take years for you to get there, but you know what? Fucking go. If you want to, like, bro, if you want to fucking, I don't know, whatever the shit is you want to do that. I want to do stand-up comedy, so I do that. And when I started, nobody thought it was a good idea. Everybody told me to stop. It was a waste of time. I quit being a lawyer to do stand-up comedy. Remember that. I gave up on that. And everybody told me it was a stupid fucking idea. And it wasn't. It ended up working out. So don't do that. Because it's going to be hard no matter what. That's the thing they don't tell you. It's going to suck no matter what. The safe path sucks for different reasons. The thing you actually want to do, you can tolerate so much more suck if you're doing something you actually want to do. The amount of dog shit you can tolerate, because you're going to have to eat dog shit no matter what you're doing, whether it's safe or whether it's what you want to do, you're going to have to eat dog shit. But you can stomach so much more dog shit if you're doing something you actually give a shit about. I promise you, bro, it's worth it, especially if you're a guy, because think about that. If you're taking the safe path in life, right? If you're a white guy, you're at the bottom of the pile with hiring. You're at the bottom of the pile for every promotion. Nobody is checking for you. Nobody likes you. Nobody wants you there. Everybody's overlooking you. The workplace is feminized. HR culture has taken over. You're probably going to get, and here's the thing. If you take a safe path in life, you could still get fired at the drop of a hat and lose everything. And then you sacrificed all that for what? At least if you burn out doing what you want to do, you have a definitive answer. You know for sure. You tried your best. You know for sure you can't do the thing you wanted to do because you tried your best and it didn't work. You have an answer. You have an answer. So fucking do the thing you want to do. Whatever the fuck that is. I can't tell you what it is. But whatever the fuck it is you want to do the shit out of it. Seriously. All right. Cabin in the woods, you say. I figured that'd be appealing to you. All right, folks. Well, listen, it's been 2 hours and 40 minutes. It's been a lot of fun hanging out with you guys. I got to get rolling. I got other shit I got to do today. But yeah, no, dude, it's been fucking sick. And this is Theocracy. I'm going to be back here Thursday at 12:30. I think I'm probably going to do this as a 12:30 show now. Because like the morning show is just getting a little too much. Let's do that. And then as far as my next show, I'll probably do another one of these on Thursday. We'll do Tuesday, Thursday, and then I'm going to try to add a third day. My goal is to get this show to 5 days a week. And then, of course, I've got Touch Grass on Saturdays. That's my panel show, 11 a.m. Saturdays. That show's a lot of fun. We get to hang out with some of my friends, and we talk about some of the same issues, some different ones, whatever we talked about. Last week, we talked about Disney a lot for some reason. It's whatever. Anyway, my name is Theo Snodgrass. I'm a comedian podcast. If you want to see me do live comedy, I'm going to be at Buck's Tavern this Wednesday doing a set out there. It's going to be a lot of fun. Take it easy, folks. Now, please enjoy the intro to my other show as the outro to this show. Take it easy.
Grass look good. Well, look at my grass. No. Look at that grass.
Are we looking at ours as cat now?
Yes. Sorry, I didn't hear a damn thing you said.
All right.
And because I was a gazillionaire and I like doing it so much, I cut that price for free.
The species is dying. The birth rate is plummeting. Women are chopped. But yeah, you know what? Get a fucking